Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Welcome to ESPN College Football, presented by Cars.com. Eventually, on a college football Saturday here in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field will completely fill up. It is a sold-out crowd. The Temple Owls, the home team, but there's a lot of Nittany Blue in this stadium as well, as Penn State has come to Philadelphia and brought their faithful along with them. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen, proud to be alongside Brock Heward this season. Shannon Spake will join us in just a moment. Finally, we've got a college football Saturday to spend together. This is not the NFL. There is no exhibition season to work out the jitters. There's a lot, I'm sure, churning inside these players today as they take the field for the first time.
Well, these Temple kids are going to feel the biggest crowd in the history of their program, and there's some good belief. There's some founded belief with so many veterans on this team that they can win this game, a game they've not won in decades. And on the flip side, I love hearing about chemistry and how close the team is, and boy, how good Stanford was going to be this year, and then they get hit in the mouth and they lose. The chemistry and togetherness of Penn State will be tested on the field today by a veteran Temple team, and you'll see exactly what that resolve really looks like when it counts.
Plenty of resolve with these Nittany Lions. Plenty of resolve in that tunnel as well. As the Owls about to take the field, the Nittany Lions are on the turf. And you mentioned being hit in the mouth. You mentioned being tested. That is going to be the theme all season long, it seems, with Christian Hackenberg.
No player in college football has more to gain than Christian Hackenberg over the next 4 months. I really do believe that. An opportunity to be the #1 pick in the draft, but he's got to play like he did his freshman year when he ripped up the record books at Penn State with a pro-style system that really fit his skill set. A season ago, he did get hit in the mouth, and it wasn't always pretty, and the touchdown to interceptions flipped over, and there was finger-pointing within. The chemistry begins with the head coach and the quarterback, and it will be a storyline we follow throughout this game.
There's plenty of cherry and white in the stands here at Lincoln Financial Field as well, as they welcome their Owls here in Philadelphia. Opening day for both of these teams. We kick it off in a moment.
More doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Dr. Pepper and college football. It's a one-of-a-kind tradition. And AT&T, mobilizing your world.
The home of the Owls. Plenty of Penn State fans, though, here at Lincoln Financial Field as we are just about set for football. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. The Temple faithful would like to believe this is a rivalry, but for it to be a rivalry, once in a while, their team has to win. 31 consecutive losses against Penn State. Temple has a chance this year. Matt Rule, the head coach of the Owls, he'd like to change all that. He's standing by with Shannon.
Well, thanks, Bob. Coach, what a way to open the season. Sold-out crowd against your former team. Definitely going to be some emotions. How have your guys shown you in practice that they're ready for this moment?
Well, we just completely focus on us. I mean, we practice in the morning. We practice rain or shine inside, outside. Our guys don't ever get caught up in the moment. So it's a great crowd. Awesome. I'm proud of Temple and Penn State to show up like this, but I think our guys are ready.
So your players came up to you this week and they said, Coach, Penn State pushed us around last year. Why is it going to be different here today?
Well, I think anytime young people recognize what happened, then they have a chance to attack it. They're a really good team, but my hope is that our guys are ready to match the physical battle that we lost last year.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you very much.
And Bob, their motto all season long has been leave no doubt. Today, they get to take that motto to the field.
And we'll see if they're able to carry that through, because, Brock, we've been talking about this game all week, and there might be no singular question that you've asked more about today's matchup than really the question Matt Rule just asked. Can they match the physicality of James Franklin's Nittany Lions?
The eye test is pretty obvious down on the field pregame, and you can look at linebackers, safeties, defensive ends, and you see 4-star recruits, some 5-star recruits, including Christian Hackenberg there at Penn State. And they've got the size and the measurables these pro scouts love. But on the other side, you have a tremendous defensive group in Temple. A group that held down Penn State 6-3 at half a year ago. It was a close game going into the fourth quarter. And I really do feel like they believe they can play with the bigger boys. And a chance to hit them in the mouth, as we've referenced a number of times, against a home crowd that will really have their back today.
Well, Penn State won the toss and deferred their option to the second half, so they'll kick it to Temple, which means they'll put their defense on the field first and see if they can set that tone.
And this will be the most different picture from last season because Temple has changed their philosophy, and I like it. Temple tough. What kind of kids are you going to be able to develop and recruit here in Philadelphia? Is it the spread system they tried to put into play a year ago and throw it all over the yard and put everything on the quarterback? No. They've gotten back to pro-style concepts. Heavy run. Use the strength of some of their young men at the line of scrimmage. They will slow this game down. They will limit some of the possessions, and they want to run and test some of the inexperience on the edge of Penn State.
Joey Julius, a redshirt freshman, trying to take the place of Sam Ficken at place kicker. Gets us underway. And here's Jihad Thomas from the goal line. Not much. Barely squeezes across the 15, so field position on the side of the Nittany Lions to start off. And a lot on the shoulders of P.J. Walker, the junior from Elizabeth, New Jersey, who might be back a little bit more in his comfort zone running a base offense rather than the spread that he was into last year.
And statistically, his numbers mirror very similar to Christian Hackenberg. Came out as a freshman, true freshman, 20 touchdowns, was phenomenal, really came on the scene, even though the wins and losses didn't match. And then last year, you could see the same struggle in the decision-making, the touchdown to interception, 4 picks against these Nittany Lions last October.
A little wide receiver screen, and Robbie Anderson has his first catch after being out for a year. Academic ineligibility forced him to miss all of last season, and welcome back to college football. Had his bell rung by Brandon Bell and lost a couple.
Get the ball early into the hands of your most dynamic player, and there is no question that is Robbie Anderson. I don't think you're going to see Temple live in this shotgun bubble screens. That's a chance to get Anderson going early, and a much better chance there for Bell to unload as the junior showing you some of the force and the strength that Penn State brings defensively.
Empty backfield on 2nd and 12. Penn State shows blitz. They rush only 4. Walker has time. He finds Anderson and makes it a manageable 3rd down and 4. Coming up as we take a look back at our impact players when Temple has the ball.
And it starts with their best offensive lineman, Kyle Friend. You're going to see him communicate. 33 starts, all-conference player, and he and his battery mates next to him have to handle arguably the best defensive tackle duo in college football. Austin Johnson, 330 pounds, going to push the pile. Anthony Zettel, a lot of YouTube hits in the offseason. More importantly, the quickness, the speed, the agility as a big man in the middle of the line to be a difference maker in situations just like this on 3rd down.
Again, a 4-man rush. Swing pass into the flat. Just shy of the 1st down. It looks as if Raquel Armstead has been brought down. It'll be 4th and 1. He needed 4, got only 3. And it'll be 4th at about the 24-yard line.
And there's a real clear picture of a true freshman in Armstead. An excellent read by Walker getting the ball out of his hands. But you see the veteran playmaking ability of this Penn State defense. And I can brag about the Owls being the 4th best scoring defense last year in college football. Penn State was the number 2 total defense because of finished tackles just like that. They replaced Mike Hole with Wortman White. And in the open field, a concern always week 1 that tackling. Naeem really sharp to bring down Armstead before the sticks.
So 3 and out to start the game for the Owls. And Mark Allen is back deep to receive the punt. Alex Starzik with an NFL kick, driving Allen all the way back to the 16-yard line. That's a pretty good change of field position after being pinned inside your 25-yard line. And now we've got Christian Hackenberg, who, Brock, as you said, probably has more on his shoulders this season than maybe any player in college football, not just any quarterback.
It's because 2,900 yards as a freshman under Bill O'Brien when everybody thought Penn State was dead. Everything they went through off the field, and Bill O'Brien comes in and has a franchise quarterback as a true freshman, really changed the perception. And last year, as difficult a year as anybody playing the position in college football.
A little jet sweep to the freshman Brandon Polk, who turns the corner and turns on the Jets. It looked like he might have stepped out of bounds back just inside the 40-yard line. And that is where they will mark the ball down at the Temple 38. A 33-yard scamper for the true freshman Brendan Polk.
10.65, 100 meters. You know that Temple wants to try to hit Penn State, that they're going to be aggressive early with a veteran defense that played well against them last year. What a tremendous call on that play script from John Donovan. Changed the picture, changed the eyes, and the game-changing speed there with Polk.
And changed the tempo. So much for huddling up. Hackenberg has his team ready to go. A drop by Geno Lewis. Normally a sure-handed junior. 73 career catches, but now it's 2nd down and 10.
Here's what I want to see from Christian Hackenberg today. I want to see sound fundamentals. First and foremost, he's 6'4", he's 230. Chip Kelly's on the field pregame, lots of NFL decision makers, but I want to see the fundamentals sound from beginning to end.
Akeel Lynch with his first carry. Stood up, but spins to the 32. That's a gain of 5. Now it brings up a big 3rd down and 5 at the Temple 32.
Fundamentals and then situational football. You know, at the next level, that's what it's about. Red zone and 3rd down. Those money situations, a real challenge for the entire offensive group last year. Just 40% on 3rd down passing a season ago. Got to be better right here in this situation of the game.
The leading receiver in the Big Ten last year was Deshaun Hamilton. He's in the slot right wearing 5. Instead, it's Geno Lewis the target. He makes a 3rd down catch. Long throw. And Brock, that's an NFL throw outside the numbers by Christian Hackenberg.
Sure was. It's anticipation when you're throwing across the field. I don't care how gifted your arm is. That's a deep comeback all the way across, and he throws it before Lewis ever comes out of his break. It's excellent execution.
Now Hackenberg pulls the string and short hops what seemed to be a wide receiver screen that was set up and blocked pretty well to Geno Lewis.
Back-to-back pictures tell you back-to-back seasons. He could be brilliant on one throw, just as you want it, and then on the very next throw, you've got to execute. A lot of players can be great for a game. Many can be great for 3 games. Do it for an entire season. Greatness at this position comes from consistency.
Another out thrown on 2nd down and 10 for 5 more to Geno Lewis. So now it will be 3rd down and about 5.
James Franklin, John Donovan, offensive coordinator, said they're putting a lot more on Christian's shoulders. They want it. He covets that command. You hear him at the line of scrimmage. That's a check with me. He's looking at the box count, the numbers, a one-on-one outside, and he's going to take that all afternoon.
How much more is on his shoulders now than was last year?
Immensely more, because of the comfort everybody has year 2 in the system.
3rd down and 5, looking for back-to-back 3rd down conversions. Tipped away from Geno Lewis. So now what does Penn State do? They've got a redshirt freshman, inexperienced kicker. Will they be more likely to go for it in the red zone? No, they're going to bring out Joey Julius and try and get 3.
When you were 110th in college football, scoring 20 points a game on the opening drive, you take your points and you get your points. 4th and 1, a different story than 4th and 5. Put 3 on the board and instill some confidence in the big boy kicker.
Literally the big boy kicker, Joey Julius. Some pressure on his shoulders. His attempt for the first time from 34 yards away. Like a veteran, right down the middle. Penn State strikes first, but Temple's defense gets a hold, and the Nittany Lions have the early lead. And it continues as we return with Penn State on top 3-0. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart and Shannon Spake. This is before the game. Are you tired of Deflategate? Well, get ready. Christian Hackenberg testing out the footballs, making sure that they've got maybe the right amount of air pressure. This is during the break. Here comes the gauge. Maybe now in NFL stadiums, Brock, they've got this equipment handy because of maybe a story you've heard about over the past, it seems like 10 years.
Oh, the one that was talked about for 227 consecutive days until the ruling? That one? Yes. And what's interesting there is they're measuring the Nike ball. Penn State with a Nike ball, Temple with a Wilson football. So could it be a little gamesmanship on the Temple side to say, hey, that football for Mr. Hackenberg may be deflated a little underneath the level. Let's measure this thing. Remember, there's a lot of commonality between these 2 programs. Head coach Matt Rule was a linebacker at Penn State. These schools recruit with one another in this area of town, all over Pennsylvania. I like it.
Jahad Thomas takes a knee. And the playoff push begins Saturday night. Saturday Night Football for the first time tonight brings us number 20 Wisconsin, number 3 Alabama at 8 Eastern on ABC, streaming live at home and on the go on Watch ESPN as well. We go all the way back to 1928 when these teams met for the first time, and apparently photography wasn't quite what it is now. I thank my children for drawing that picture for us, so we at least had something to put on the screen to document the 1928 matchup between Wisconsin and Alabama.
Well, back to your sketch artist. That was better than maybe the first go-around in the courts.
So now let's see how the Owls respond as they've got P.J. Walker under center. And a more conventional offensive look. Jahad Thomas, nowhere to go. Lost a couple.
That's not what you're looking for if you're Temple. You want to get into a set where there's a numbers advantage for you, and you can see everybody here, and especially Nassib, the defensive end for Penn State, get up the field and reassert the line of scrimmage. That's what does it look like. 8 yards rushing, 8 first downs a season ago in this matchup. Temple could do nothing. They felt helpless, according to their coaching staff at times offensively. When you can't get any push and the defensive line with 4 dominates your 5, it can be an ugly afternoon.
Breaking a tackle is Kip Patton, the tight end, and he turns nothing into something and again makes it a manageable 3rd down and short.
Kip Patton redshirted as a defensive lineman a year ago because, according to the coaching staff, we needed to toughen him up a little bit. He's going to be an X factor for them this year. They like the way he can catch it out of the backfield, and this is very early, an X factor kind of 3rd down. Keep your defense off the field, limit possessions, shorten the game, a big part of Coach Rule's game plan today.
Here comes a blitz on 3rd down. Walker can't beat it. Tried to find Adonis Jennings, and it'll be 4th and 3. Pressure came from Brandon Bell, who was untouched on the blitz.
That's a pretty common DNA of this Penn State defense. Going to be base early, going to put 4 down linemen, going to try to control that line, and then on 3rd down you will see lots of different pictures. Secondary blitzers, corner blitzers, nickel blitzers, putting the pressure in a one-on-one situation that Jennings and Walker could not finish.
So here's Starzyk to punt once again, the 2nd consecutive 3 and out offensively to start for Temple. And this, a wobbly kick, and Mark Allen lets it take a hop, and it will take a Temple hop all the way down to about the 25-yard line before it finally rolls dead. A 43-yard punt. Penn State, Christian Hackenberg with the football when we come back.
Presented by Cars.com. Now Cars.com helps you get the right service without all the drama. And in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
James Franklin flashed the full windup when he threw out the first pitch to Jeff Francoeur back on July 30th. And now a few more people in the building today to watch his football team play than there were at Citizens Bank Park to watch the Phillies play right across the street that night. It's not been a great year for the Phils. And Christian Hackenberg starts this drive in the gun. There goes the true freshman Brandon Polk in motion, and instead it's a handoff to Akil Lynch right up the middle. A much maligned offensive line for Penn State paving the way, and Shannon's got more.
That's right, Bob. Christian Hackenberg told me this week that the offensive line was the hardest working group in the offseason. Up to 4 extra hours a week as a group working on communication. He said they speak the same language. Offensive line coach told them during that timeout, he said, listen, you guys got to score every time we have the ball.
They did on their opening possession to take the 3-0 lead, and now it's the 2nd offensive possession. 2nd down and 6.
Pass, you're looking at 8 guys around the line of scrimmage, and this is some of the gamesmanship. Both sides with a veteran team. Do they check out of it and change the picture? And they do.
Only a 3-man rush. Hackenberg under some pressure. Brought down about a yard shy of the first down. Hershey Walton made the stop, and there's that chess game that you talked about we would see today.
They come up and they show Christian Hackenberg the picture of 8 guys around the line, and it's inside with the corners. It's a man one-on-one look. Christian checks to his pass, and Phil Snow's group says, no, we'll check out and get to zone defense.
Akil Lynch with a flag down. Moves the pile very close to the first down. It looks like he has it if the play stands.
Should be offsides defensively lined up. Temple was on the 3rd and 1.
Offside. Defense. Number 2. The 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Well, there's that offensive line. You know, Brock, we talk about skill guys and specifically the quarterback and the challenges of playing in a new offensive system. It was a new offensive system last year for this offensive line as well.
And with nobody with any experience other than the left tackle that moved on to the NFL, and an incredible amount of youth that had to grow up both physically, emotionally, and as you're referencing, mentally with the new system.
It plays into what Shannon was talking about, the development of this offensive line during this past offseason, every bit as important as Christian Hackenberg's development. He's got a tip ball up the seam, bounces around, and falls incomplete. A near turnover. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
And more man-to-man coverage, and I love what Phil Snow, the veteran defensive coordinator, is doing here to Christian Hackenberg. He's giving him some different looks. He's bringing some different stunts, and a really nice job by Ioannidis, the senior himself, the redshirt senior, to get his hands into that throwing lane. So far challenging people on the perimeter in one-on-one situations.
Akeel Lynch brought down after a gain of about 2. 3rd down and 8 coming up for Penn State. And Christian Hackenberg off to only a 2-for-6 start for 15 yards.
Situational football. You saw it in the red zone. A shallow cross should be on the front shoulder. Should have moved the sticks. Did not. Settle for a field goal. 3rd and 8. Passing down situation. Got to be sharp with his accuracy and his decision making.
Deshaun Hamilton in the slot right to the bottom of your screen. Hasn't even been targeted yet. Hackenberg looks that way on 3rd down. Has time. Fires a bullet instead to Chris Godwin right between the numbers. And that might be the best throw we've seen Hackenberg make so far in the first quarter.
That absolutely was. Just some zone coverage, quarters. All 4 safeties playing a quarter of the field in enough time to step up into the pocket. 44 sacks a year ago, got beat down and was retreating. That time could step up, use the force of that physical strength, and deliver just a BB to move the sticks.
Lynch finds a seam, and there he goes. There's no one home for the Owls. Akeel Lynch with a touchdown. That makes life on a quarterback easy. Just hand it off and watch him scamper 41 yards for a touchdown.
It's amazing what a first down and a 3rd down conversion can do for the entire group. For those offensive linemen, we talked about the entirety of that drive, to see something they didn't a year ago. And that's some real execution in the passing game. You saw Lynch run for $130 on these guys last season in Happy Valley, and he's well on his way in this first quarter.
6 plays, 75 yards. Took just over 2.5 minutes off the clock, and Akeel Lynch does work. Penn State's got the 2-score lead. Field goal nets. All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds. For each field goal, an extra point kicked. To date, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Shannon Spake here in Philadelphia. A home game for Temple, but dominant start for Penn State. They've got the 10-0 lead, and Akeel Lynch capped the touchdown drive a moment ago to put Penn State up 2 scores.
And a lot more points scored offensively here in the first 10 minutes than 3.5 quarters in Happy Valley last year for Penn State. 2 interception returns for touchdowns. It was 6-3 at half, late even into the 3rd quarter. And you're starting to see some of that physical power and strength of Penn State, a quiet confidence their coaching staff felt about the work they've done over 8 months. And Temple better respond in a hurry. The worst thing you can do with a home fan base like this is get buried in the first quarter.
And Jahad Thomas gets to the 21-yard line. 2 3-and-outs to start for Temple, but back to the touchdown. How about the confusion in that front 7 for Temple?
2 things happen here. Number 1, Penn State attacks the weakness of the zone blitz. Number 2, Tyler Matakevich 100 tackle seasons back-to-back-to-back years, runs himself out of this play. Mangiero, the center, doesn't even have to get to his double team. Ioannidis is stunting away from it. It is the perfect play call to attack the vulnerability of that zone blitz defense. And Matakevich, a different picture of middle linebacker than the weak side position in space that he's played so much of his career here in Philly.
How quickly does he have to diagnose what he's seeing there?
Much more quickly than that. And more importantly, get in the mix. You can't run yourself out of your assignment.
So now how does Temple respond down by 2 scores without a first down on offense so far? They'll run it. Raquel Armstead is out to about the 24-yard line for a gain of 3.
Gotta have patience. Friday night game last night in Boise. The Broncos all over the Huskies early, 16-0. Very similar, just controlling every phase of it. And Washington weathered the storm. Got a red zone stop, move the chains. You have to get a first down here. You have got to start to feel good about your month-long game plan. And it would go a long ways for PJ in this offense to simply be able to move the sticks, breathe in that huddle, and keep your defense on the sidelines.
Again, it's the true freshman, Raquel Armstead, strung out, nowhere to go, maybe picks up a yard. 3rd down and 6 coming up after we check in with Adnan Burke for the first time.
Hello, Bob. Taco.
Are you ready for ultra high def TVs with insane picture quality?
Are you ready, baby? Yeah, baby!
Let us show you the difference. Come in and see the picture quality for yourself. Expert service, unbeatable price, Best Buy.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. 3rd down and 6 for Temple. Still looking for their first down of the game. 4-man rush. Reaching back to make the catch is Robbie Anderson. Where do they spot the football? It looks like he's a half-yard shy. Brandon Bell made the tackle. It'll be 4th down, and it looks like about a foot. But just across your own 30-yard line, Matt Rule won't take any chances. It's another 3-and-out for Temple.
And there's the rust of the redshirt senior who missed an entire year. Robbie Anderson playing football. Against some other opponents this season, the American Conference, you may get away with that. You may be able to twist out of that tackle. When you've got Brandon Bell hunting you down, as you saw early on that bubble screen on that 3rd down, you've got to get in front of that 3rd down marker, and he does not.
Alex Starzik, his 3rd punt. This one looks like an NFL kick. Mark Allen driven all the way back to his own 12 and brought down at the 15. A huge change of field position for Temple. That's a bright spot. Down 10-0 though after a 58-yard punt. Only a 3-yard return. Let's check our AT&T strong performance. And this was a strong performance. This is the Redmond Little League World Series team represented by second baseman Braden Colemansberger. A 30-yard field goal attempt at Penn State practice. That he'll be mobbed. You know why? If he missed that kick, the players would have had to do 30 up downs. He made it. So James Franklin had to do 30 push-ups.
Pretty good form. Pretty good form, too, out of the head coach. An even better form from the Little League Baseball player putting it through the uprights.
Well, the pressure of 100 football players standing around not wanting to do those up downs. Mark Allen in at tailback. Hackenberg with a play-action fake. Under some pressure. And he'll be sacked. He wanted to go downtown. And it was covered up. Loses 6 yards back to the 9. Jared Alwen got him inside the 10.
44 times that occurred a season ago. Way too many. One of the worst in college football taking sacks. And that's a situation where you would love to see a little more feel. And absolutely ball control. Lucky there at the end of that play. But you've got to feel that pressure coming and do your best to throw that in the 3rd row.
Now Brockett still with 3.5 minutes to go in the 1st quarter early in this game. This is a huge moment for Temple. Can they capitalize on the sack, get the football back with some type of field position?
Could not agree more.
Lynch across the 10 to about the 13-yard line, but it will be 3rd and at least 11, if not 12. And here's your chance for Temple to let your defense maybe get a little bit of momentum back on your side. pass to Akil Lynch. Cut down. Exactly what the Owls needed. They flip field position and they get a 3-and-out on defense.
That's really nice team defense there, playing just your zone coverage in third and extra long and making sure everybody does their job. Do not lose contain. Allow Wells to come in and finish. The former walk-on, the fourth leading tackler last year. Keep everything in front of you in that situation so you can capitalize, as you pointed out, Bob, capitalize on a tremendous punt and for the first time some field position offensively.
Dan Pasquarello, the sophomore from Australia, in to kick from inside his own 10-yard line. Robbie Anderson, returnable at the Temple 29, bobbles it. And heads south instead of north. Now he gets a block with a flag down. We'll have to check the penalty marker. 54-yard punt by Pasquarello and an 8-yard return for Robbie Anderson, but this could be a block in the back.
During the return, block in the back. Number 87 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Temple.
So Temple has the football back, but they lose field position with the penalty. Back in a moment. On his own, which he does to lose a yard.
I blame you.
Wow. He could have moonwalked for a first down and just tripped over his own 2 feet.
He looks like a guy that's not played football for a year. He's ineligible a season ago. He's their most gifted player, and you've seen now multiple opportunities of getting the ball in his hands. He bobbles the punt. He's a little short on a route. That time he is stumbling and bumbling, and that is a perfect indicator of a guy who's just trying to do too much and get everything back too quickly.
I've given the announcer jinx pre-snap. I don't know if I've ever done the announcer jinx in the middle of a play.
Well, that's well done week one. It's pretty impressive.
Wow. Play clock down to 3, and it looks like Matt Rule will call a timeout from the sideline as his team was slow to get set. Discombobulated, to say the least, offensively for Temple. Home on the go. Just download Watch ESPN, the app, or visit watchespn.com. So once again, Temple is up against it, trying to pick up a first down. As we continue here at Lincoln Financial Field, what might be the final play of the first quarter, with Temple still looking for their first down. 3rd down and 4 for the Owls at their own 28-yard line, down by 10. Up the seam to the outside, and that is good for a first down to John Christopher. A nice throw by P.J. Walker, and maybe some confusion coverage-wise for Penn State.
That was a nifty little pre-snap action there, showing one picture to Penn State, and we talked about their defensive group doing it. They do the same thing there offensively to get themselves into a 2-by-2 set so they can have that, offensively speaking, rub route, defensively pick play, and get exactly what they want with Christopher finally getting that critical completion and catch to move the chains.
That'll take us to the end of the first quarter with Temple trailing 10-0, but they do indeed move the chains for the first time this afternoon. Penn State on top by 10 after 1. Just outside of downtown Philadelphia, start of the second quarter between Penn State and Temple. Here's that last Temple first down.
Christian Campbell's in because Grant Haley is out. Offensive players call that a simple rub route, trying to get exactly that look. That's why the pre-snap motion and formations to get the man-to-man press look. Campbell doesn't give the veteran Lucas any room to get through that pick play, and a pivotal first down.
Up the middle for 5, Jihad Thomas across the 45-yard line. Carl Nassib, Ryan Nassib's younger brother, who was a 2-year walk-on at Penn State. Didn't even have a chance to play his first couple of seasons. Now he's starting on that Nittany Lion defensive line, made the stop.
And he has what those NFL people love, length. You hear talked about more in football than I've ever heard in my life. For basketball, that's been the story in wingspan for years. 6'7", 270. They love that kind of size and structure out on the edge.
Crab crawling right to midfield is Thomas. Brings up a 3rd down and 1 after we check in with Adnan.
A lot of eyes on Josh Rosen. My friend Danny Cannell called him the Rosen One. Well, UCLA taking on Virginia. This is Rosen, who started 7 for 7. Devin Fuller for the touchdown. Bruins up 7-3 early second quarter. Bob?
Thanks, Adnan. Right at midfield. Down by 10. Temple early in the second quarter looking for their second first down of the game. But Brock, even more importantly, just getting some flow going offensively. They'll try to play power football for it, and they've got no chance. Jagger Gardner brought down for at least a 2-yard loss. Now it's 4th down and 3. Would you go for it here on your own side of the 50?
These are the decisions that head coach Matt Rule says pregame he tries to eliminate, that he'll have his plan. He does not want to be affected by his guts or emotion here. If they don't go 2 yards backwards, if that's a stalemate, you may take a shot. 3 yards, can't do it. Force the punt. Back-to-back really positive runs, 5 yards and 4 yards to put yourself in that situation. And then Penn State says enough's enough. Going to bring our inside linebackers, going to change the line of scrimmage and force you into a punt.
It's that spot on the field you might think about a fake. Instead, it's a rugby-style kick from Starzyk. And this will take the roll that they're hoping for when you kick it like that down inside the 20 to about the 16-yard line. So Temple at least moved the chains once, but Penn State still has the 10-point lead and the ball. Who are the 2 Penn State alums with victories over the Nittany Lions as opposing head coach? If you get the answer to this question, you either have a Penn State media guide on your lap, or you are the biggest Nittany Lion fan in Penn State history. This is a good one. I'm not even sure you can Google this one.
That's a tough Aflac out the gate.
Christian Hackenberg inside his own 20-yard line. Back to work with a 10-point lead. Another jet sweep. Same guy, Brandon Polk. Same speed down the sideline. And he's near the 35-yard line before he's run out at the 34. Sean Chandler stopped him, but not until he picked up 17. It's Saquon Barkley, the true freshman, in at tailback. Hackenberg lines up. Looks like a modified pistol.
And double cadence there, trying to get Temple to show exactly what they're doing defensively.
And then Temple shifts their defensive lineman. Hackenberg hit. Does the ball pop out? Oh, he did well to hold on to it. A pump fake, and he paid the price. Jared Allwine came through and got him right between the 1 and the 4 on his back. In providing pressure as well was Reddick.
And that's sack number 2, and that has nothing to do with the quarterback and everything to do with Paris Palmer. 44 sacks a year ago, same way. Some on the offensive line, some on the receiver. That all on the JUCO left tackle transfer.
Hackenberg being chased. And Temple gets the stop. Mike Gesicki was the intended receiver. He was nowhere near a first down. And Temple will get the football back.
So you can have all the fun theatrics pre-snap. You can go your double cadence. You can play the chess game on both sides. And then ultimately, and you hear this all the time from the football folks, and there's a bunch of NFL people on the sidelines, about your one-on-one battles.
Pardon me, jumping the gun.
Doing no help.
It's 3rd down. So 3rd and 15. And do you bring pressure here, or do you play coverage if you're Temple?
You have got to keep everything in front of you here.
They'll rush 6. Hackenberg in trouble. He's going to go down again all the way back to the 20-yard line. They brought pressure and it worked. Hassan Reddick got there first.
And that's making a statement, Bob. Conventional wisdom says keep it in front of you. Temple and their defensive staff, and maybe more importantly, their head coach says, no, we're going to have to really create defensively. That 3rd and 1 may be an indicator that on that last offensive drive that we can't just line up and run it. We don't have on our side of Brandon Polk can get you 17 on a fly sweep, force the issue defensively, and they do so in a 3rd and extra long.
3rd sack for Temple, 2 in that possession. Pasquarello with a punt that takes a little bit of a Temple hop and doesn't even make it inside the 40-yard line of the Owls, down at the Temple 43. So the best field position by far for the Owls. When we come back, injuries already a concern as well for the Nittany Lions. Back in a moment.
by Dr. Pepper and college football. It's a one-of-a-kind tradition. And Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Beautiful day in downtown Philadelphia. And a great day for football here at Lincoln Financial Field, but a potentially game-changing injury to talk about to Naeem Wortman-White in a moment. As Temple has the football back with Jahad Thomas in the eye. Here comes the blitz under pressure. P.J. Walker lost the football. A scramble for it. Who's got it? The Nittany Lions think they do. Again, Brandon Bell with pressure on the quarterback. Knocked it out. Penn State football. Torrance Brown recovered it.
Nobody's played faster on this field in the first quarter and a half than Brandon Bell. You've seen him on third down conversion, stops, showing the immense power he has, and that time right off the edge. And if you don't account for him in your protection and you think you can slide away and get the ball out of your hands, you have no chance. True junior with another game-defining play to add to his resume here early.
Boy, disaster for Temple as they get the stop defensively with a couple of sacks and have terrific field position and then give it up with a turnover. Again, Brandon Polk with motion. Akeel Lynch takes the handoff, tripped up after a gain of 3 as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you, this defensive line for Temple, they're not thinking about the 2 stops they got. They're thinking about the fact that they've been scored on twice. They're angry. You can see them on the sideline. There's not a lot of celebrating. It's all focus. Remember, these are guys that got in a fight at practice earlier this week. An angry defensive line, Brock, what's that like to line up across from?
Yeah, that's no fun. The bar is set real high. This is a very veteran team that was 4th best in college football last year, giving up just 17 a game.
They need to play angry now, as this game is in danger of getting away from them if they give up a touchdown here. Hackenberg trying to avoid a sack, goes down for the 4th time. Pressure off the edge from Tyler Matakevich, and now it's 3rd down and long.
And this script has got to change if you're a Penn State fan and you're on that offensive staff. Just took a beating Christian Hackenberg did last year. A big reason the fundamentals fell apart. A big reason the productivity took a serious dip. And this, you got to get the ball out of your hands. You know, either schematically through the progressions in your reads, you've got to have a place for him to go with the ball. But when you've got unblocked people coming on blitzes, you have to have a plan, both as play caller and more importantly under the gun.
Play clock at 1 as Hackenberg gets it off. Looking for the bomb down the sideline to Deshaun Hamilton, and just missed him. What a huge win this is now, assuming Penn State punts, for the Temple defense. Sudden change, 1 play, they're right back out on the field, and they get a 3 downs and out with Penn State starting in Temple territory.
It's remarkable how deflating sacks can be, and Hamilton gets behind an 8-man cover drop. Temple rushed 3 people. That should never happen defensively, and Hackenberg has got to flush that sack away, because that throw is a throw he can make. You simply put more air under the football and let your star Hamilton go get it.
Sean Chandler back to receive this punt. That's the intentional end-over-end kick, and does just what it's supposed to do. Spins like a pitching wedge down at about the 7-yard line. Well executed by Daniel Pasquarello. Penn State with field position and the scoreboard on their side. Temple has the football back, which means it's Penn State's defense back on the field. Now Penn State's got a 10-0 lead, and they've got field position on their side. That's the good news. But Brock, that's the bad news, walking off the field.
That's exactly right. You're talking about a difference-making middle linebacker filling the shoes of Mike Hole and his 100-plus tackles. So excited about Wortman-White shifting over, playing that middle linebacker position. 6'1", 245, runs like he's 6 foot 220. And now Gary Wooten Jr., number 8, the redshirt junior from Miami, is going to fill some very big shoes.
So with Naeem Wortman-White back in the Penn State locker room, Temple starts and runs right up the middle. Spinning 3 is Jahad Thomas. and he's close to a first down. Boy, run right at the defense's weakness once you recognize arguably their best second-level players off the field.
That's exactly right, and nothing fancy about that. That 3rd and 1 and getting the I formation, kind of a slower developing isolation play, I don't like it. You know, that run on the outside, that stretch play, making guys move, and if you are going to run up the gut, quick hitter, trap it. Quick dive, get right on top of those linebackers.
Jahad Thomas back in the game to the left of Walker in the shotgun. Walker on a keeper. Nice move in the open field. P.J. Walker. He's got another Temple first down. Let's head back to Adnan Vert.
All right, Bob, thank you. Over on ABC, it's BYU taking on Nebraska, and Taysom Hill, who's coming off that broken left leg and ACL injury prior to that, he scampers in for the touchdown, but check out his face afterwards. No reacts, maybe a slight limp. He has 188 of BYU's 189 yards so far. We're tied up. Bob?
2 carries for Temple and back-to-back first downs. And now they're out close to their own 30-yard line. Still looking for their first points of the game, but now a little bit of rhythm on offense.
And 10 runs, 8 passes, the kind of balance they're going to have to try to keep a really good defense guessing.
On the ground again. This time nothing there for Jahad Thomas. Trevor Williams came up and run support from his cornerback spot to cut him down. That's a loss of a couple.
That's DOA. You cannot run that play into a corner blitz into the short field there. When you get on that hash mark, there is very little margin for error. And much like Hackenberg, and you have seen him in the mechanics of changing plays and checking protection. Same thing with P.J. Walker in the run game. And that time a much better disguise for Penn State, running right into a corner blitz. No go.
That's Brock Ewert on Bob Wischusen. Shannon Spake down on the field. 2nd down and long for Temple at their own 30 or their own 26-yard line. P.J. Walker sets up the screen. Aaron pass. Now it's 3rd down and 12. This is not an offense that can handle this down and distance.
No, 2 offenses that struggled mightily a season ago. Two of the worst, frankly, in college football in a lot of statistics and categories, and negative plays will crush you offensively.
As you can see, it's a warm, humid day here at Lincoln Financial Field. The first Saturday of college football with a little Keystone State game between Penn State and Temple. It took Penn State on their first drive. No minutes to get on the board. 3rd down, crossing underneath, wide open, Ventrell Bryant. He gets to the outside. Ventrell Bryant crosses the 50. What a big 3rd down conversion for Temple.
And unlike running a play and a run play into a corner blitz, when you actually have some space and you can pick up that corner blitz and pass protection, you're going to have some open lanes. And that's exactly what PJ's group did. An excellent job by Thomas, the junior running back, sliding over, picking up the corner blitz, giving PJ a chance to scan the field. And Bryant, the redshirt freshman, someone they're really excited about. Chance to be special, according to their staff yesterday. Showing a little bit of speed and quickness himself.
What a time for Temple to get their best offensive play off. A gain of 25 on 3rd down and 12. There he is again. Another catch for Bryant. Another Penn State soft coverage on the outside that Bryant is able to expose for a Temple first down.
A little bit of zone read is keeping the eyes. Look at the eyes of these Penn State defenders. That's all caused by that zone read action, and that's the true freshman read, kind of no man's land. Doesn't matter what game you play, you never want to be in between. The zone read, P.J. Walker's had a couple nice runs with it, and he's staring down a true freshman that lets the ball sail right over his head.
Ventrell Bryant in motion. Play action once again for Walker. Can't avoid the rush. A big loss of 12 yards all the way back to the 45 as Carl Nassib gets pressure on P.J. Walker.
And once again, you can point so clearly to those negative plays. Excellent job by Nassib right there. When you've got an elusive quarterback and you're a big frame guy, and just keep him in front of you. Shadow that quarterback. Don't give him a lane to escape. He finishes. But that's really disappointing. I'm watching 2 juniors that have 20-plus starts under their belt, and I'm watching 2 quarterbacks that don't have a great plan. when that blitz or an unblocked defender comes their way, you have got to find a way to throw it in the stands, avoid the big negative losses. You have to play another day.
Right up the middle goes Jahad Thomas to get back the yardage that was lost on the sack. But now it's going to be 3rd down and long as we quickly check our Aflac trivia question answer. The 2 Penn State alums with victories over the Nittany Lions as opposing head coach. Got to go all the way back to the 30s. Right. Frank Wolf at Waynesburg.
Yep.
And Dick Anderson at Rutgers, 1988.
32 tilt. Whew, that was a tough one.
3rd down and 10. 9th play of the drive for Temple.
Have a plan.
They'll run it. Jahad Thomas with all kinds of room. Bounces it to the outside. Inside the 10. At the 2. 1st and goal for the Owls. They run it on 3rd down and 10. And Jahad Thomas almost scored.
That's been the best offensive call of the day for Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator for Temple. I love it. Quick hitter inside, got a 3-man front. Looked like it was going to be either a zone blitz or some 8-man drop in Penn State. And you caught them right in between. Once again, been a little bit of the theme of this drive. Other than the negative play, you have got Penn State on their heels. And for a game that Penn State dominated, Bob, for 25 minutes, at least statistically speaking, defense withstood that brunt for Temple, giving their offense a chance to get it going, and man, have they ever on this drive.
The toss to Jahad Thomas, right at the goal line. He's brought down short. It'll be 2nd down and goal from inside the 1.
Thomas is Temple tough. That's a refrain we heard an awful lot yesterday in the building there with head coach Matt Rule. Really an identity. They looked at themselves in the mirror this offseason. Not an identity crisis, but much more getting back to who they are, the kind of kids they want to develop and recruit. Thomas wearing that number 5, voted by his teammates of one of the 9 toughest.
He's off the field now. It's Jagger Gardner, a true freshman, who's in at tailback with Nick Sharga, 240-pound fullback, trying to pave the way. Did Sharga do the job? He did not. As Gardner is stopped short by Gary Wooten. Now it's 3rd down and goal inside the 1.
Not a bad job right at the point of attack. You didn't see Penn State push that line of scrimmage back. But an excellent play by Gary Wooten Jr. filling in for the injured Naeem Wortman-White. You cannot hesitate. Plays on this goal line in the red zone. Speed up on everybody. An excellent job there by the backup playing fast.
A drive that began for Temple at their own 7-yard line. As they're knocking on the door, it looks like they're going to let the play clock wind all the way down and maybe call a timeout. Temple will spend their 2nd timeout here and will step aside as well. After the timeout, here's P.J. Walker coming over to talk to or be spoken to by his head coach, Matt Rule.
And I love that. That's what happens in the chemistry developed between head coach and a 3-year starter at that position. You ride them. You don't like the negative play, maybe the play clock and having the awareness, but you see the little tap on the helmet right afterwards. Matt Rule is a guy that's a relationship-driven coach, gaining the trust of a lot of his players here in a really big 3rd down call.
Jahad Thomas is the I-back. Is it 4-down territory for Temple if they can't get in here? Now a timeout called by James Franklin from his sideline. Interesting personnel on the field for Temple as they had 2 tailbacks lined up in an I. They had the true freshman Raquel Armstead lined up as the fullback, and maybe that was something that confused Penn State a bit, and they called timeout from their sideline. Let's see what happens after we check in with Adnan Virk.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Coming up on the Lexus Halftime Report, an ACC and SEC clash, Louisville and Auburn. Exciting action there. Also, Joey Galloway and Danny Cannell will join me. They are big on UCLA, and therefore Josh Rosen is making them look good right now in his debut with the Bruins. Plus, an unlikely event when it comes to special teams. All those highlights and more coming up. Lexus Halftime Report. Bob, back to you.
The chess match continues. Temple calls a timeout. Penn State follows suit. Now it's 3rd down and goal. Same personnel group on the field for the Owls. 2 tailbacks lined up in an I. P.J. Walker, the counter toss, walking in the end zone. A touchdown for Jahad Thomas.
Some advantages to having an entire month to get ready for an opponent. Some good wrinkles. The third 10, little trap play, and that time flip 9 catching Penn State's eyes in the backfield. And Thomas delivering, and huge momentum as you push into halftime.
A Temple offense that was unable to pick up a first down until the end of the first quarter just went 93 yards in 12 plays to score their first points. Here in Philadelphia, the opening Saturday in college football as we continue Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Penn State now leading by only a field goal, 10-7. Bob Wischusen, Brock Heward, Shannon Spake. And boy, what a confidence boost that drive has to be for that Temple offense.
We talked pregame about the resolve of a veteran team. This is a veteran Temple defense that got on their heels in the first 6 minutes, but has given their offense a chance to get it going, and a wonderful mix of play calling, run, and pass balance on that 93-yard drive.
Here's Koa Farmer bringing it back. Excellent return to the 37-yard line before he's brought down. Let's go back to Adnan.
Bob, we'll be talking about Louisville and Auburn coming up at the half. Here's a quick update for you. Auburn's up 7-0 by virtue of a Jeremy Johnson touchdown, and then the defense stepping up. That's Justin Garrett scooping it up 80 yards to the house. 14-0 right now for the Tigers. Bob, back to you.
Thanks, Adnan. And now some pressure on Christian Hackenberg to try and quiet the crowd, at least the part of the crowd that is supporting the Owls. Almost a 50-50 split fan-wise here at Lincoln Financial Field. On first down, a handoff to Mark Allen. Flag down, and it was thrown late. Looks like it's going to be holding against Penn State.
Holding, offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And that's Brian Gaia, the redshirt junior. And you say pressure on Hackenberg. I would twist it. You have to look at it as opportunity. A nice push here early. That's a difficult call. But once you see the tugging and the wrestling match to the ground, you're going to get the penalty. This is going to be an opportunity and probably a chance to get back to some of that early tempo and pace you saw from the Nittany Lion offense.
They'll keep it on the ground, running to the short side of the field with not a lot of room. Is Mark Allen on first down and long after the penalty. Does that surprise you from a conservative play calling standpoint, or would you put the ball in the hands of Hackenberg here and see what he can do?
Well, it's a reflection of 4 sacks. That's going to affect any play caller here, and they've been real cute getting to double cadences and changing pictures and protections. There's also comes a time where you line up, you snap it, and you find a way to dictate yourself instead of this little game you're playing with Temple here offensively and defensively.
Second down at 14. Hackenberg with all day, long to the sideline, airmails Deshaun Hamilton. And now with 1:23 to go before halftime, and Temple still with a timeout. Third down and 14. It doesn't seem like Penn State is in any kind of a hurry. It's almost as if they are trying to run out the first half clock.
Almost resigned to falling out of any sense of tempo and rhythm. I mean, had it in that first 15 play calls. And since you can see Coach Franklin looking at his play script, you see the shaking of the head of Hackenberg. No answers here for the last quarter.
Temple shows blitz off the edge. Looks like Hackenberg recognized it. 10 on the play clock. False start. A little double hitch by Angelo Mangiero, the center, on the snap.
Snap infraction. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
The beauty of the game of football is you will face adversity. Period. End of story. And especially against a team like Temple that is gritty and tough and experienced. And they came out rosy, did Penn State offensively, just moving the ball at will. Here's a stop, here's a sack, here's a negative play, and it is how you respond to that adversity that defines you at that position to me as much as anything else.
Three-man rush. Hackenberg, long throw to the sideline, caught by Chris Godwin, and he's brought down inbounds. No, that stops the clock. He was knocked down out of bounds, about 6 yards shy of the first down, so that accomplishes 2 goals for Temple. They get the stop. They're about to get the football back, and they don't have to call their final timeout to stop the clock before the punt. So now Temple with plenty of momentum, Brock, you would think offensively. If they get any kind of field position, we'll see how frisky they get with their play calling with a timeout.
And stick to your guns. Your defense now, possession after possession, has settled in, has created a negative play, and has put you right back in the position to get these fans involved.
Robbie Anderson stood up at the 17-yard line. Well, the Buckeyes begin their title defense, looking to avenge last year's only loss in their rematch with the Hokies. It's college football primetime, Monday night at 8, number 1 Ohio State taking on Frank Beamer's Hokies on ESPN, streaming live at home and on the go on Watch ESPN.
I think you're going to see J.T. Barrett get the go. Been a real sleight of hand from both Nick Saban and his game tonight, and Urban Meyer has not defined anything as well. But I'd be pretty surprised if it's not J.T. to begin that game under center, and at some point you're going to see Jones.
How come?
I think he's more dynamic. I think he gives you more. I think he plays the game with such ease. He can respond to adversity as well.
Very interesting strategic moment here for Temple. 1:04 to go on the half, and you have a timeout, but you're inside your own 20-yard line. Do you take momentum into the locker room at halftime and run the football here and put it in the freezer, or do you give P.J. Walker a chance to make some plays?
And these first plays in this possession so critical. And Penn State will get the ball to begin the second half.
Thomas brought down behind the line, and it looks like Temple's not going to take any chances deep in their own end of the field.
That was a really nice play there by Anthony Zettel, and we've not said his name an awful lot. Timeout by Penn State, but there's that quickness that he has. That's what defines his game. You want to look at a unique skill set and a talent, what everybody brings to the table. And for Zettel, he shows off his MMA skills and hitting a golf ball 400 yards and all those things that make him pretty unique to the position. But more importantly, for James Franklin and his staff, it's plays like that, negative plays, that he's creating at the line of scrimmage.
Big theme in the first half, though, Christian Hackenberg sacked 4 times, under plenty of pressure. That was supposed to be the problem from last season with 44 sacks that was ironed out with the offseason and with training camp. Doesn't look like they've got it ironed out yet.
You feel indecision, don't you? And at times it's the offensive line. It's times not having an answer. But as a third-year starter, and both of these quarterbacks have played a lot of football. This isn't a freshman making his first start. I would love to see a more definitive plan. And at halftime, they got to get back, I think, to some of that tempo that they had early on that they felt great about. The tempo has completely changed over the course of the last 25 minutes.
How much of that to you has to do with just errors made by Penn State offensively in protection? How much credit do you give Temple and the different looks they're giving them defensively?
It's absolutely a mix of both of those things, and I would say almost half and half with the 4 sacks.
Penn State has 1 timeout remaining. Here's Jahad Thomas. He gets bottled up. We'll see if James Franklin calls that timeout. He does immediately from the sideline. So now with a 40-second play clock, the clock is continuing to run, but they're going to have to put a few seconds, I would think, back up on the clock. It looked as if the clock ran for at least 3 or 4 seconds after James Franklin had called the timeout and the officials blew it dead on the field. And that's actually crucial, the 40-second play clock. And they did put 5 seconds back on the clock. That's really the difference between Temple maybe being able to run a longer duration play and ending the first half, or having to punt from deep in their own end if Penn State is able to get a stop.
And I don't mind this play calling if you're Temple. You didn't have great field position to begin with. You try a run on first down. If that gets sprung for 7 or 8 yards, you probably pick up your pace in tempo. It doesn't. You force Penn State to burn both timeouts. You're going to give them very little on the other side when they do get it back. And you go into halftime feeling great about yourself. If you're Matt Rule, and you could see the former special teams coordinator. Well, he coached just about every single position in his way up to being a head coach. He knows it. He knows right now Penn State has been rocked, that offensively they are on their heels, that offensive line is not, and with their quarterback seeing the picture very clearly of everything that his group is throwing at him. Weather the storm, get the game to the second half, especially when it's in your building.
Third down and 14. Penn State out of timeouts, but Temple can't end the first half on this play. So that will roll the clock down probably inside of about 10 seconds before Temple has to snap it. They might call their final timeout as well, taking as much time off the clock as possible. And there's only about a 5-second differential between the play clock and the game clock. But they'll have to send their punt unit out there to at least try and kick it away.
And he'll burn his final time. I think that's well executed on both sides, and Penn State will have an opportunity to show off some of the speed, some of the depth that they like in their special teams game. James Franklin feels like he has at his disposal much more than he did a year ago. And this just has the feel in an NFL stadium of an NFL kind of game.
Adnan Burke, Danny Cannell, and Joey Galloway are standing by with the halftime report, but some of the scores they'll be talking about, well, it's a big week early on, especially for the Big Ten. You've got Penn State struggling a little bit with an out-of-conference game, obviously, here against Temple. Michigan goes down at Utah. Stanford with a loss on the road to Northwestern, and some of the other scores going on this afternoon. BYU Nebraska tied at 14 over on ABC.
And this is a shocker. That was a Stanford team that a lot of folks were really excited about. A fifth-year senior quarterback that got so much better as the year went on. You and I watched a little bit of that game early, saw them control it completely, and you thought physically was going to outclass Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern. And what a huge win for him, a top 25 opponent, week number one. The Big Ten, point blank, is a lot better than it's been the last few years.
What kind of a chance do you give Wisconsin tonight?
I don't give them a big chance. That front seven of Alabama is absolutely nasty. In week one, preparing themselves for a heavy dose of run game and an imbalanced Wisconsin team. And I know they've got issues at wide receiver and quarterback, but you play defense and special teams. You got a dominant group in your front seven like Alabama does. I think they make a point tonight.
See if Penn State comes after Alex Starzyk. They try and set up a return for Mark Allen to give him a chance to score before halftime. Allen right up against the sideline. Bottled up, well executed by Temple, and that will take us to the break. During halftime, you will hear from James Franklin. He'll speak with Shannon Spake. 10-7 our score at halftime. Penn State on top. Now it's time for Adnan with Danny Cannell and Joey Galloway. The Lexus Halftime Report. We return to ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. A stone's throw from downtown Philly here at Lincoln Financial Field. We're just about set for the start of the third quarter. And it's Penn State holding on to a 10-7 lead over Temple. Bob Wischusen, Brock Hewitt, Shannon Spake here. The momentum, though, on the side of the Owls. Trailed by 10. Got a big drive before halftime. Punched it in for their first score. And they seem right now to have Penn State's offense especially guessing.
They have them on their heels, and they're throwing lots of blitzes at Christian Hackenberg. And if you're a Penn State fan, you watched those 30 minutes and said, man, did that look familiar to last season when Hackenberg took a beating with 44 sacks. And he has one more completion 5 than he does time sack, and that is 4. And they absolutely have him on their heels. And it's a mixture. At times it's the offensive line. At times it's unblocked defenders that Hackenberg has got to be aware of and get the ball out of his hands. And bigger and more important than anything else, and James Franklin talked about this to Shannon going into halftime, you have to make Temple pay. If they're going to blitz and they're going to zone blitz and they're going to continue to try to dictate, the only way offensively you change that is to hit wide open go routes and big plays in big time moments. And Hackenberg and that offense couldn't get it done in the first half.
And Brock, you mentioned it. If I were a Penn State fan, and my main concerns from last season to this season, protect the quarterback, better offensive line play, better decision making, and more confident play out of Christian Hackenberg. And I want to check those boxes. Where are they, and why have they not checked any of those boxes to start off the new season here?
The beauty of football is the first 2 drives, you checked every one of them. He played with great tempo. He was decisive. He's throwing comebacks before the receivers are out of bounds, and you score 10 points and have 128 yards. The last 4 possessions looked exactly like last season. 18 yards, multiple sacks as you document there. And I think more than anything, you have got to get back to your plan of dictating the tempo. Away with all of this check with me, get into the perfect play. Just use some of your athleticism and take some shots down the field.
Austin Jones is going to give Penn State terrific field position as he simply hooks it out of bounds.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, you guys mentioned the momentum swing in this game, certainly on Temple's side right now. One of the turning points in that first half was when the Temple defense was finally able to get a stop. Well, moments before that stop, after Penn State scored on them twice, senior linebacker Tyler Matakevich came over to his guys and he said, what have we been talking about all week? We can't beat ourselves, and that's what we're doing. They went out, they got that stop, turned the momentum around, and Coach Rule told me just moments ago another turning point was when they were able to get the run game developed. So certainly look for them to continue doing that in the second half.
Well, they'll need to, as Penn State still has the field goal lead. But this could be, in terms of momentum swings, a huge opening drive for the Nittany Lions. Can they get something going as Akeel Lynch with a nice cutback and a broken tackle? Well, that's one way to get some offensive momentum going. Give it to your best running back and let him go to work and pick up 16.
And he had the biggest play of the first half, the long touchdown run, and getting that mix of run and pass. 20 runs, 11 passes for Temple. And as you see with Penn State, as they got out of rhythm, had no success really in that run game to counterbalance that passing game and those shots that you're capable of taking downfield once you get that run game established.
Only a yard this time for Lynch into the heart of that defense for Temple, led of course by Tyler Matakevich. We were talking about the numbers that he's put up, and they are extraordinary. He's trying to become only the 7th player in the history of FBS to tack together 4 consecutive 100-plus tackle seasons.
Instincts.
And he's in on the stop once again of Akeel Lynch after a gain of 2. Now it's 3rd down and 7. Nate D. Smith was the first there for the Owls.
And he's had the help of his buddies up front as well. And Ioannidis and Robinson and Hershey Walton, who's played a bunch of ball. This is as veteran a defense as you're going to find in all of college football. You have one sophomore. The rest are all juniors and seniors that for 3 years, like Ioannidis, have played together. That's why they can have those difficult conversations on a sideline in game, really hold one another accountable and handle the momentum that was so one way early in this game that the defense really changed.
Here comes the blitz. Hackenberg underneath, errant throw. Saeed Blacknall was the intended receiver, and Hackenberg a little shaken up, shaking that throwing arm and elbow out. Either the wrist or the elbow is hurting Christian Hackenberg.
And Matakevich showing you that he is not just a tackler, but he drives Lynch right into Hackenberg's lap. That time, good protection. Good adjustment at halftime. Get to a 7-man protection, keep your back in, tight end in, and that stings. He's doing that as a guy that's felt that before. You're trying to get some of that feel back as the hand goes right into the helmet of Lynch.
Angling the punt is Pasquarello to the far left corner, and it goes out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. Right at the 15-yard line. So here comes Temple's offense, and Jihad Thomas, what an ending he had to the first half.
And Temple struggled for a quarter and a half, and they were patient. They did not get away from their plan to run the ball. And a 3rd down conversion draw, to me, the biggest play of that entire drive. They call that flip 9, get all the eyes in the action inside, faking the belly dive and flipping it out to Thomas. Leading rusher a season ago with just 300 yards rushing, 320-some yards rushing. And accounting for a lot more from Thomas this season. And a good start there, over 50 yards in the first half.
He has bounced back and forth between the offensive and defensive sides of the ball before finally settling in as the main running back. Now to number 10 of their own, a jet sweep of their own. But Sam Benjamin was not nearly as effective as Brandon Polk was. We've seen jet sweeps to number 10, but twice it was Penn State, both times very effectively. That time, Garrett Sickles brought down Benjamin, a loss of 2. Thomas stood up. Again, it's Garrett Sickles. A couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 10. And Monday, SVP is taking his talents to midnight after the Ohio State-Virginia Tech game. Stay tuned for Sports Center like you've never seen it before. Scott Van Pelt will premiere his new nightly Sports Center show. It comes your way weeknights at midnight on ESPN.
I'm guessing a lot of college sports in that edition. SVP, one of the big fans of college basketball, college football as well. Been so engaged with game day over the years. Looking forward to watching Scott in his new position.
Hey, his Terps could have a heck of a basketball season this year. They're going to be as good as anyone. 3rd down and 10 for Temple. Here comes a blitz. Over the middle. It looked as if there was room to run for Ventel Bryant, but he alligator armed it a bit. It'll be 4th down, 3 downs and out for the Owls.
Very similar 3rd downs where both defensive coordinators bring pressure. You have a completely unblocked runner coming at your 5'11" quarterback, and that's a nice job of PJ standing strong. And you'd sure love to see the redshirt freshman Bryant find that ball, have a catch and run situation.
It was almost like he didn't recognize that the ball was on top of him as quickly as it was. He barely extended his arms.
Well, there's a difference running that with live bullets flying around, with the blitz coming, with a quarterback doing the best he can to try to get you the ball. And another thing in practice with no blitz, catching it much later in the route.
Wobbly punt from Starzyk. Mark Allen returns it into Temple territory. So that's a major field position switch for Penn State. They've got the field goal lead, and they will start this drive in plus territory. There's a flag down on the far side of the field. It's on ESPN from here in Philadelphia. A 3-point lead for Penn State over Temple. And the playoff push begins with Saturday Night Football. Number 20, Wisconsin. Number 3, Alabama, tonight at 8 on ABC and streaming live at home or on the go on Watch ESPN as we take a look at our top 10. This is the ESPN FPI, the Football Power Index, our own metric. And Brock, agree or disagree with anyone in the top 10?
You're going to have to explain to me number 3 on that list, because I don't get that one. I know why. It's because of returning starters and schedule, and we can dig into the algorithms of the index, but my eyes tell me there is no chance LSU going into the season is the 3rd best team in college football.
Our ESPN FBI rankings are brought to you by Goodyear. And will it be a good year for Penn State? A lot has to do with what happens with Christian Hackenberg and if they can straighten things out offensively. On 1st down, right up the gut, it's Akeel Lynch. He stood up after a gain of maybe a half yard. And Brock Hewitt, I could see you shaking your head. You are dismayed with the play calling right now for the Nittany Lions.
And I'm sorry to talk over you there, but you've got to take a shot. You have got perfect field position to do so. Your head coach said at halftime, hey, to slow down this pass rush and everything that Temple is doing to us, we have got to hit them in the mouth. Starting 4 of 8 in this game, 1 of 5 is Christian Hackenberg over the last quarter and a half. Where is Deshaun Hamilton? Where are your difference makers out on the perimeter? Show up.
There's the slant. Deshaun Hamilton makes the catch. It'll be 3rd down and about 4. The largest pass play or longest pass play of the game for Penn State today was 18 yards.
And that's unacceptable at this stage for where Christian is in his development. And Temple is a really good defense. I will preface any of that commentary and give them their due. But you have got to be able to stretch an entire field here, number 3. He is fully capable of doing it, can make every throw in the arsenal. I'd like to see a second half with some aggressiveness here from the Penn State offense.
3rd down and 4. Play clock down to 5.
1-on-1 outside.
Hackenberg looks over the middle. Underneath, broken up. That's the 2nd time that Temple has been facing Penn State beginning a drive in their half of the field, and the 2nd time that the Penn State offense has been unable to even pick up a first down.
And all that is going to do is infuse that defensive unit with more and more confidence. And all it will do, unfortunately, to this Penn State offense and to the faithful that made the trip here and wanted to see such a completely different picture, is continue to confuse and confound them.
Sean Chandler deep to receive the punt of Pasquarello. And Pasquarello will try and angle it to the far left corner once again, and it will go out of bounds. And that is not what Penn State's fans were hoping for. This will be all the way out near the 20-yard line.
College football, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And Toyota. Let's go places.
Look at all the university boathouses along the Schuylkill River. William Penn chose the Schuylkill in 1682 as one bank of the confluence upon which he would found the planned city of Philadelphia. And that's where we are. The plan right now for Penn State, not going according to plan offensively, as they have for the second time been stopped in plus territory by the Temple defense. And now Temple goes back to work. Jahad Thomas gets around the edge and picks up about 5 yards. So 2nd and 5 coming for the Owls. Now sooner or later, the Owls have to start stringing together offensive possessions to take advantage of the great work their defense has done. Neither offense has done a good job of capitalizing on what their respective defenses have done to this point.
No, and it's a credit to two really good defenses. Penn State was the #2 total defense in all of college football last year, and they are making Temple earn it every single play and finishing many of their tackles well. And on the flip side, Temple has really gotten the Nittany Lions completely out of any offensive tempo and rhythm.
Up the seam, wide open, reaching back, Kip Patton, the tight end. Out close to the 45-yard line. A quick pop pass from P.J. Walker. Picks up 20.
Caught up with offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield on the field before the game, and I said, okay, I got my play sheet. You've had an entire month to get your plan ready. Give me a little X factor. Give me somebody that maybe we have not been familiar with, and he pointed right to Patton. Played defensive line last year to toughen him up. Really feels like with what they want to grow into in their 2 tight end package that he can be a difference maker in the passing game. And PJ been really efficient today, taking care of the ball, completing 80% plus of his passes. It's excellent execution on the play action pass.
A reverse. Wanting to throw the footballs. John Christopher wide open. He's got the quarterback. P.J. Walker. A trick play works perfectly for the Owls. And they've got a first down to the Penn State 31.
Couple single-digit guys. And Christopher, the redshirt senior wide receiver, wearing that #7, is one of the 9 toughest guys on this team. And that's all about timing and hitting your opponent at the right time with that play call. We saw it on that 93-yard drive. Loved a couple of those offensive decisions in that time, that area of the field. That's why I wanted to see Hackenberg and Penn State take a shot. You're right there at the 40-yard line or so. Perfect position to take a little bit of risk and make it pay off.
Play action again for Walker. Long throw to the sideline, incomplete. Up over the head of Robbie Anderson. And let's go back down to Shannon Spake.
Yeah, Bob, Walker as a receiver, that's something they practiced this week. I saw it at practice when I went there on Thursday. And when I asked PJ about that, he said, yeah, you might see it in the game. I really want to be a receiver and catch a touchdown and score in that position. So it might not be the last time we see it here today.
They hit it at exactly the right time. I think it's also worth noting here, Penn State without Naeem Wortman-White, their difference-making middle linebacker, went out in the second quarter on a punt cover play, has not back. Penn State officials have no word on his standing, but he is out of this game.
Swing pass with a flag down. Jahad Thomas hurdling his way inside the 20-yard line. I'll have to check the penalty marker thrown in the offensive backfield right after the ball was flipped from Walker to Thomas.
Holding. Offense, number 79. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's the bell cow of that offensive line. The center, Kyle Friend, called for the hold.
33 career starts. He's played a little bit of everything, and you understand why Matt Rule is putting the hand through the hair, because that is such a quick hitting play, and that is a 50-50 call. No impact on the play. He's trying to shed or throw that defender down to get out into a screen pass. But unfortunately, too violent. I guess that's what happens when you bench 225 46 times instead of school record like he does. You start to throw people around and you draw the penalty.
Now, in a game as low scoring as this, 2nd and 20, picking up a first down, low percentage here. How much of this is now game management for P.J. Walker, making sure he at least gets his team in field goal range?
An awful lot.
Walker hit as he throws, and somehow it finds its way to Robbie Anderson for a gain of 11. It'll be 3rd down and 9, but that easily could have been a turnover as P.J. Walker took a shot from Carl Nassib, and a very fortunate pass that finds its way to Anderson.
How do you display your toughness at the quarterback position as Nassib at 6'7", 270 is bearing down on you? You don't pick up the end tackle stunt. You're absolutely right. 9 out of 10 times that ball's in the air and it's going the other way. That's a good sign for the Temple Owls, and a better sign is your quarterback, even with a blitz in his face or pressure bearing down on him, has the guts to stand in and deliver.
Huge play here. 3rd down and 9 inside of 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Jahad Thomas shaking and baking to the edge. And now what do you do if you're Temple? It's 4th down and short. You're in field goal range. You could tie the game. It'll be 4th down. It looks like about a full 2 yards.
You get your points. The way your defense has played, what in the world have they shown Matt Rule for 2.5 quarters? They've shown him that they've got Hackenberg and Penn State on the ropes. Yeah, you pay this off with a kicker, unfortunately, last year, just 13 of 22 on the season.
It'll be a 40-yard kick from just inside the right hash. Austin Jones only 59% last season. This to tie the game. Tommy Broadway with a perfect hold. And right down the middle, Austin Jones with a perfect kick. So Temple gets their points, and we are tied at 10. 6:23 to go in the 3rd. Low scoring and a lot of fun here in Philly. Back in Philadelphia, and we take a look at our winning traditions driven by Goodyear. And there are some Philly tough championships that have been pulled off over the years. The Eagles in the 60s, Joe Frazier over Muhammad Ali. The 74-75 Broad Street Bullies. There's Pete Rose and the 80 Phillies winning the World Series. And of course, Dr. J and Moses Malone winning the NBA championship in 1983. Some of the great names, certainly Chuck Bednarik, a household name for the Eagles. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake. And speaking of Philly tough, give some credit to Temple. They took that first quarter, as you said, Brock, punch to the gut, and they have now responded and chipped away at this Penn State lead to get the game tied at 10 late here in the 3rd.
Sure have, and you and I travel across college football and see a lot of facilities. And you can go to Penn State and they've got all the facilities in the world like all the SEC schools. That's not what Temple has. We were over there yesterday, and they grind and they work and they develop. They don't have the best facilities in the world, but they got a lot of kids that believe.
Toa Farmer using the stiff arm, runs a man over all the way out to about the 34-yard line. So now, as we go back down to Shannon Spake, Shannon, we're going to have Christian Hackenberg on the field. And you had an opportunity to observe him while Temple had the ball. What did you see from Hackenberg?
You know, Bob, last year we saw Christian Hackenberg. We saw some emotions from him on the sideline, good and bad. Right now, just watching him, he's not letting the frustration. Certainly he's frustrated, but he's not letting it get the best of him. He seems very poised standing over here with his guys.
And that's some of the chemistry that Coach Franklin was talking about. So imperative this offseason to get everybody on the same page as you see a Temple player in quite a bit of pain. But an open line of communication, try to win back and build back some trust between head coach, program, and quarterback as they stumbled a season ago. And he is showing some great resolve and poise.
That's the starting strong safety, Will Hayes, the former walk-on, who might be cramping up. It is very warm and very humid, and has been for days here in the Northeast. Temperatures today at kickoff were in the mid to upper 80s. The humidity, that's that Philadelphia, New Jersey, northeastern time of year where the humidity levels rise along with the heat. So the heat index down on the field was probably at least 100 degrees when the game started. And I guess at this point in the game, to have a player or two cramp up, we'll have to keep our eyes on this. This could be a factor for very important players in the next quarter and a half.
Two things. Aroma Ray, the backup strong safety, has got some reps. He has some seasoning, played a bunch of football. That's at least for Phil Snow, defensive coordinator, an advantage. Secondly, you see Will Hayes on punt cover. You see him on kickoff cover. You see the redshirt senior doing whatever is asked of him a guy that loves ball, and a Romare, I think, a competent and confident backup.
Boye Romare was last year the opening day starter at strong safety, but injured his back, gave way to Will Hayes, the former walk-on. And Hayes, he never surrendered the job. He'll surrender it now as Romare takes over with Hayes on the bench. Another end around. And this one, DeAndre Tompkins shut down. No gain on first down. Second down and 10. Let's take a look at some of the struggles for Christian Hackenberg.
Opening drive of the game, come back across the field. You commented from up here. That's an NFL throw. Same exact throw in the previous third down. Same route. Look at the very top of your screen. You're going to see a comeback. It's tight coverage, but he actually has a pocket around him. Does he pull the trigger and throw the exact same route on third down there? He does not. A real telling picture of the momentum and maybe the confidence that has melted away here from this Penn State offense.
Four-man rush. Hackenberg avoids the rush, swings it to the sideline, and it looks like that will be a catch credited to Chris Godwin. Got a toe down, as the officials will now get together, and now they'll say incomplete. After a conference, maybe influenced by that Temple coaching staff over on the sideline, it'll be third down and 10.
Yeah, it's incomplete. First foot, that right foot looks like it hits out of bounds.
And let's see, we might get our first review of the game, and we will. Don Capron is our referee, so we'll step aside during our first replay review of the game. Third down and 10 for Penn State after the video review confirmed the ruling of an incomplete pass on the field. And up the middle comes Matakevich with another sack of Christian Hackenberg. He goes down for the 5th time today. And again, it's the Temple defense lighting up this crowd here at the Link.
And if you can't punch back against a blitz, you're going to see more and more exotic blitzes from a veteran defense. That time the loop right in front, another unblocked defender right in the face of Hackenberg. And if I've said it once, I have said it 100 times today. It feels as if there's very little plan.
And now you start to see the frustration bubbling to the surface with Christian Hackenberg. Line drive kick. Returnable for Robbie Anderson. Great field position for Temple at their own 44-yard line after only a 37-yard punt. So Penn State and Temple tied at 10. Now Temple with the football, a chance to take their first lead of the game. And a reminder, this is a game that when you talk to the Temple folks, they want this to be a rivalry. Well, the only way it turns into a rivalry is if you reverse this. They have lost 31 consecutive times to Penn State. You throw in one tie, it's been 39 meetings since Penn State was beaten all the way back to 1941, the last time Temple got a win in this matchup.
Further, over the last 30 years, one game. Only once has this been a one-possession or less outcome.
Read option for P.J. Walker, spinning to midfield. And just as Christian Hackenberg's confidence seems shaken, you can see the confidence building for P.J. Walker.
He gets up a little gingerly there as well. That's right. You'll hear coaches say this all the time. Play fast, not in a hurry. One quarterback is doing it and playing very effectively and getting into that rhythm and tempo. And the other one is looking around at unblocked guys coming his way. Sacked 5 times, having no answer. Where is Deshaun Hamilton? Broke the single season or second all-time, broke the freshman record. First team All Big Ten, 82 receptions, 1 on the day for 5 yards.
Walker almost threw an interception. A little quick on the trigger, trying to get one up the seam, and Jason Kabinda read it, but couldn't pick it off.
And you saw earlier the sack and near interception turn into a completion, and that one is a play Kabinda's got to make. He's seen everything in front of him. They hit the play action pass. Called that a little pop pass earlier on the inside seam to Patton. A well-coached defensive unit puts the player in the right spot. Kambinda can't finish.
3rd down and 4. So this is a huge possibility for the Penn State defense to take some momentum back if they can stop Temple with great field position, as the Temple defense has done a couple of times today. Nittany Lions bring a blitz, a 5-man rush. Right at the first down marker and bulling his way for a first down is Adonis Jennings. A gain of 8.
This is a different wide receiver crew than the one that played at Happy Valley a year ago. Anderson is back after missing a year. We've already talked about Kip Patton, the X Factor. Jennings is a transfer from Pitt. And how about the awareness and the understanding? Early in the game, catch it short of the sticks. That was Robbie Anderson. That time, Jennings knowing exactly where that 3rd down marker was, puts the shoulder pads down, and loose chains.
Nothing on first down as Anthony Zettel is there to bring down Jahad Thomas. That's a loss of a yard. And that'll take us inside of 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Anthony Zettel, Austin Johnson, the 2 real franchise defensive inside players for this Penn State defense. We have not called their names often today.
Solid, not spectacular.
E.J. Walker, modest gain at best. That's a terrific play by Marcus Allen to come up and make an almost immediate tackle on Colin Thompson and force 3rd and long.
Now let's give some credit to this Penn State defense. How many times do you see a defense when their offense has sputtered and sputtered and sputtered? And it's been 7 possessions now where that Nittany Lion offense has given Penn State nothing. And in fact, Penn State has even put that offense in prime real estate to do something with it. A lot of character on that defensive side of the ball as well for Penn State.
On 3rd down and long, they'll try and run it. Earlier in the game it worked for Temple. This time nothing doing for Jahad Thomas, brought down by Zettel. So now it's 4th down and 7 inside the 40-yard line. Temple is not in field goal range from here, obviously. But 4th down and 7 might be a little too far to go for it.
What an enjoyable conversation with Matt Rule yesterday, talking about situations just like this one, and not another injured player down, but the game management, being very honest with himself and looking himself and his staff and their decisions from a year ago. And that's unfortunate. That's Wooten, who's already in for the injured Wharton White at middle linebacker.
We've got 2 injured players on the play. The right tackle, Leon Johnson, is down for Temple, and Gary Wooten, who's already in the game because of the injury to Naeem Wortman-White, also injured. So 2 very important players, as we'll step aside quickly. ESPN College Football. Stream every game live at home or on the go. Simply download the Watch ESPN app or visit watchespn.com. Watch ESPN, according to my college basketball partner Dan Dockich, the greatest invention since the fork. And so both of those respective players have to leave the field for at least one play. It looks like Gary Wooten is okay. He was able to get off the field much quicker than Leon Johnson. Johnson with a noticeable limp, the right tackle, heading to the sideline for Temple. But it is a punt situation for the Owls. DeAndre Tompkins at the 10-yard line, with Alex Starzyk trying to pin Penn State deep, punting from midfield. And the rugby-style kick. Is it out of bounds at the pylon, and they'll say a touchback. Oh, just that close to Starzyk literally executing the perfect punt. But an old special teams coach, as head coach Matt Rule, I think was looking more for the 10-yard line to make sure he pinned them deep rather than trying to go for the perfect kick right at the pylon.
I'll say the same thing watching him today throughout this game, trying to do something that hasn't been done since 1941, and that's beat Penn State. Refreshing. You get around different coaches and in different meetings that we all get the pleasure to do and privilege to do, and very refreshing. And he can criticize his punter, but just like he did with Walker earlier, that little affirmation at the end, the tap on the helmet, you're my guy, and I'm going to need you possibly here over the final 16 minutes.
Back to the offense for Penn State. Christian Hackenberg trying to get on track. Quick throw, and a good one to Chris Godwin. And he's wrestled out of bounds after a gain of 8 by Sean Chandler.
This is where I go. This is where you just got to play fast. When you're in the rut that you've been in for 7 possessions, get up to the line. You've got some calls that you know you can call regardless of the look. Protect and establish that tempo yourself.
Intercepted. It could be a pick six. Inside the 5-yard line, right at the pylon is Sharif Finch. He's in for the touchdown.
All Sharif Finch does is make plays. I think the ball's going to come back. I think we're going to take another look at this one. It's going to be at the 2-yard line, but that's all this kid has done. 2 touchdowns on returns a season ago. Hackenberg trying to sneak that quick hitch in. Another zone pressure. Finch dropping out from his end position, sees the whole play right in front of him.
It certainly appears as if he is at least at about the 2-yard line when his foot touches out of bounds. So the Penn State defense will have a chance to get a goal line stand, but at the worst, it's going to be 1st and goal for Temple at the 2-yard line after Christian Hackenberg tried to come right back to the same play to Chris Godwin and gets picked off by the defensive end Sharif Finch.
This is a very well-coached football team. Beat me once, I'll see the play, get the ball out of your hands. I'm going to be aware on my zone drop. I'm not just going to run the play as it's drawn up, maybe in my playbook. When I actually drop out, I'm going to look back at that quarterback and an awareness if that ball comes my way to finish. You saw almost the exact same thing with Kabinda on the previous drive, the linebacker. He's running, the defense is called, he's getting underneath the route. What does he do? Lets it go right through his hands. Tremendous play there in awareness from Finch.
After review, the runner was down with the ball at the 2-yard line, at which point it will be Temple's ball, 1st and goal. Please reset the game clock for 1:13, 1:13.
Brock, you talked about how during a football season and inside a football game you will be faced with adversity. It's hard to imagine right now Christian Hackenberg facing more adversity than throwing an interception to a defensive end after 7 straight ineffective possessions. About to lose, you would think, a 10-0 lead to at least a field goal, if not a Temple touchdown. The next time Christian Hackenberg is on the field, he's going to be out there trying to bring his team from behind, it looks like, barring Temple short-circuiting at the 2. Jahad Thomas, the lone setback on 1st and goal. Play action. P.J. Walker into the end zone, knocked away. Flag down. Robbie Anderson, closely guarded by Marcus Allen. And it'll be pass interference against Penn State.
Pass interference. Defense, number 2. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. 1st down.
So Temple gets the down back. They only pick up a yard, but now it's 1st and goal at the 1.
And I love the play call here. This is a telltale sign of the confidence you have in your quarterback right now on 1st and goal. Just trying to run those crossing routes, rub off the defenders. PJ gets away with the ball that's a little high in behind, but I love the aggressive nature of that play call.
Beautiful fake, and the quarterback takes it over from 1 yard out, and the Owls have the lead for the first time today. Is P.J. Walker hurt? Slow to get up. He took a shot when he scored the touchdown. Let's take another look. 17 unanswered points for Temple. A 10-0 Penn State lead in the first quarter becomes a 17-10 Temple lead as we're almost through 3 quarters.
We anticipated Temple throwing a bevy of blitzes at Christian Hackenberg, and Phil Snow has really mixed him in, the defensive signal caller for the Temple Owls. Lots of zone pressures, lots of different defenders dropping into different zones. It's confused Hackenberg, and he throws on that previous drive after a little hitch route on a first down completion. Does not see Sharif Floyd, the zone dropping defensive end. And not a lot of defensive ends in college football have that kind of feel. They have the eyes in the backfield. They're just trying to drop to their zone. And P.J. Walker looking a lot like Russell Wilson against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game on a very similar zone read. Fools the entire defense, but takes a shot from Kabinda a yard deep. And that left shoulder, that left arm dangling, and very little experience behind P.J. Walker. Frank Newtile, the redshirt freshman from last year. This is P.J. Walker's team. It's his show. And if he can't go, you're looking at someone in a position that they has never been in Newtile. Temple tough. Going to come into view here in the final 16 minutes.
Koa Farmer from the goal line to the 25. Let's head down to Shannon.
Well, Bob, I may have just met Temple's biggest fan. His name is Jimmy Brodsky. He came up and said hi to me, and he said, "Hey, I'm Jimmy the Ball Boy." He has been the ball boy, check him out right there, for 50 years. Hired in 1965. He is such a great guy. 1942, guys, was when he was born, so he's never seen Temple defeat Penn State. He told me, man, I would love to see it happen today.
1941 was when it last happened. Now how does Christian Hackenberg respond? Can he shake off what's happened over the last 2+ quarters? Flags fly right at the snap.
Can he? If you're Penn State, he has to.
Ball start. Offense. Number 70. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, last season, Christian Hackenberg had a QBR of 37.3. Of Power 5 quarterbacks, only John Wolford from Wake Forest was lower. From 2 years ago to last year, his QBR dropped 21 points. Only Sean Mannion at Oregon State had a bigger decline among Power 5 quarterbacks. So he's trying to bounce back from really what was a bad sophomore season. And now Akil Lynch getting stuffed at the line, sets up second down and 15 as we check in with Adnan Burke.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. It's the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive update. We're focusing in on Virginia and UCLA. Second and goal, it's Miles Jack playing both sides of the ball. 31-9, it's all Bruins, Bob.
All right, Adnan, Brandon Polk. He's got speed out on the edge, and they're trying to get him the ball in space, and he's brought down for no gain. Tavon Young makes the stop for Temple. Now it's third down and 15.
And just look at the body language. Look at how fast Temple's playing defensively. There is no fear whatsoever in any of those Temple Owl defenders. None. And why should there be? If Penn State is taking no shots, he's not threatening the field at all. And Hackenberg just looking underneath right now with an offense looking completely lost over the last 2.5 quarters.
Penn State has 2 first downs since the end of the first quarter. And we head to the fourth with Temple on top by a touchdown.
I'm going back.
We start the fourth quarter with Temple trying to break a 39-game unbeaten streak. In this matchup between themselves and Penn State, 17-10. The Owls have the lead, and Christian Hackenberg and the offense for Penn State. They have been sputtering since the first quarter, and they start the fourth quarter facing third down and 15. Three-man rush, a two-man rush, and Hackenberg still is pursued and sacked. Inexcusable for Penn State. Nate D. Smith on a two-man rush gets the 6th Temple sack.
And Bob, that just cannot happen. We can put all the burden of productivity on the quarterback, but eventually, as you said, when they're dropping into coverage and 5 can't block 2, embarrassing. And you can see Hackenberg, he's doing his part. He's going over there, he's trying to cheer those guys up, but yeah, all phases of this offense right now totally discombobulated.
And Temple could very easily end up with terrific field position again. A line drive punt. Robbie Anderson from his own 33. Turns the corner. He's got some blockers out in front. Out of bounds at midfield. It was Daniel Pasquarello, the punter, that eventually pushed him out right at the 50. Well, the Buckeyes begin their title defense, looking to avenge last year's only loss in a rematch with the Hokies. Urban Meyer squares off with Frank Beamer. Number 1 Ohio State, Virginia Tech, Monday at 8 on ESPN and streaming live at home and on the go on Watch ESPN.
I'll say this about that matchup. Bud Foster is going to do exactly what Phil Snow, the D coordinator, has done here. And good to see PJ gutting it out, that left shoulder banged up. But Bud's going to throw lots of blitzes as he did a year ago at JT Barrett and that Ohio State offense, an entire month to get ready. And I can't give enough credit to the staff of Temple that has got their kids ready to play this afternoon.
Jahad Thomas behind the line. Jordan Lucas comes up to make the tackle for a 3-yard loss.
And you're going to expect to see some of the veteran leaders on this Penn State defense say enough is enough. 17 points, not indicative of the way they have played. They have really done their part on the defensive side of the ball. That's Zettel, that's Lucas, that's Johnson. But this is also the point where you have watched your offense sputter for 3 quarters, and you know you have to make a game-changing play, that just doing your assignment may not be enough. One-on-one to the outside.
That's just where Walker looks. Floats it down the sideline. Incomplete. Flag thrown. Trevor Williams on Brandon Shippen.
And whether that's a good call or not, do you see the difference with a team that's willing to take some shots and one that won't? Hackenberg has not thrown a pass over 15 yards for a completion. He has attempted 1 the entire game.
Pass interference, defense number 10, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And it's a questionable call. There's some contact here as the senior Williams. I think it's contact both ways. Frankly, that shouldn't be called. But that's what happens. Good things can happen to you when you put the pass in a position where your guy gets it or nobody. Well, he may go up and make an incredible play, and you may also be fortunate to get a pass interference call.
If the ball never travels more than 6 yards from the line of scrimmage, you're not going to get a 15-yard pass interference call. And right now, Christian Hackenberg and the Penn State offense, they're playing a game in the box, basically. Their entire offense is operating within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Well said. In the shell-shocked.
Wide open again. It's the tight end running a crossing route. Check that, Adonis Jennings. He's got 8 yards. Very close to another Temple first down.
It's 6'3", $195. He looks like a tight end. And what a nice target to have. And you have seen that same concept a bunch. When Penn State has not brought pressure and played their zone defense, it's been tight ends, it's been wide receivers on those shallow crosses. And the important part when you throw that is a catch and run ball. Do not make him slow up. Do not make him look at the defenders around him. Give him opportunity to catch it, turn upfield. PJ's done that this afternoon.
PJ Walker with a handoff to Jahad Thomas. And now it will be 3rd down. Carl Nassib, Anthony Zettel doing what they are best at, and that is disrupting along the line of scrimmage. And boy, is this a must stop for the Penn State defense on this play. 3rd down and 4, and maybe not yet in field goal range.
And you see the emotion and the reaction right there. That's a former walk-on redshirt senior playing the best game of his career. A sack earlier, a tackle for loss in that situation, a proud defense on their side of the ball as well that knows the importance of this one.
Matt Rule said he wanted his team at the 25-yard line to feel comfortable kicking a field goal. Jahad Thomas is going to get them there with a first down. They run for it on 3rd down and 3.5 and pick it up.
But you can run it. You can run an inside play like that because you have threatened the defense. You have threatened them with PJ's ability to run and scramble. You have threatened them by mixing in some pass, threatened them by taking some shots. That only occurs because of the balance that Temple has had throughout this game.
Jahad Thomas with a cutback to the outside. Another move in the secondary. He's got another Temple touchdown.
Years. 74 years. 1941. The last time a Temple team beat their in-state opponent, Penn State.
It's not over yet, but it's a 2-score game with 11:14 to go. P.J. Walker and Jahad Thomas were high school teammates in Elizabeth, New Jersey. They won a state championship at Elizabeth. They've got a chance to break a 74-year drought today against Penn State. You're looking for senior leadership at times like this. Penn State, they've got Anthony Zettel. That was while we were away. That's not offensive players. That's not defensive players. That's not just special team players. That's basically the whole team, Brock, that was around their first team all Big Ten defensive tackle. And he was trying to explain, in probably no uncertain terms, what he's expecting is going to happen for Penn State in the next 11 minutes.
Well, Bob, remember, he's one of 6. That's all that's left. 6 from that year that had Joe Paterno, that's seen all the turmoil, that has been through everything. The jerseys, the name coming back on the jerseys, the names coming off, all of the adversity that this program has been through. And he does not want to be a part of it that loses to this program in Temple for the first time since 1941.
Koa Farmer brought down before he even gets to the 20-yard line as we check in with Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Just want to update you on what's happening with regards to BYU and Nebraska on ABC. Tommy Armstrong to Trey Foster. Wide open there, so currently it is the Cornhuskers leading at 28-24. Also, over on ESPN2, great U.S. Open coverage. Donald Young, the American, dropped the first 2 sets. He's rallied back now in the 5th set, up 3-1. Could be a huge comeback win. Bob?
Well, a huge comeback is now what Christian Hackenberg and Penn State have to have. There's still plenty of time. You're down 2 scores with over 11 minutes to go. You've got all the time in the world, but it has to start happening down the field, you would think, for Penn State, as Akeel Lynch goes up the gut for 4. And last season against Temple, Christian Hackenberg, well, he didn't put up good numbers, but his defense took the ball away.
Yeah, 2 pick sixes. I mean, it's the exact same game that I'm watching. They were in a box. There were no shots down the field. There was no explosiveness. It was supposed to be a different script this year, and it's not.
Under pressure and sacked for the 7th time today. Jacob Martin gets him this time. How can you push the ball down the field if you can't protect your quarterback?
Well, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 guys, 3 guys. That time a 4-man rush. Those ears are pinned back for Temple. Those defensive linemen feed off of it. It's a frenzy. Here's 4 sacks. Here's 5 sacks. Here's 6 sacks. Whose opportunity is it next?
7 sacks by 6 different players. 3rd down and 12. 3-man rush. A check down. That loses 4 more. Matt Ioannidis diagnosed that play perfectly for Temple. And it's another 3 and out for Penn State.
Well, they're trying to set up the screen pass right there. And you can do that against certain guys, maybe young players. Look at Ioannidis. He's running the screen before the running back even does. Sharif Finch with the interception. He's running his zone scheme. He's running the route as the receiver does. Temple, has just done a phenomenal job being on point week one, attention to detail, and a veteran defense that is so far outdistancing and outplaying Penn State's offense.
Now it's special teams helping out Temple. A good punt return by Sean Chandler. And Temple, they've scored 24 unanswered points. And they're going to start inside of the Penn State 40-yard line. What a performance thus far by the Owls.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff. ESPN College Football is presented by Cars.com. Now Cars.com helps you get the right service without all the drama. And in part by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Welcome back to Philadelphia, where there has not been any brotherly love between Temple and Penn State today. And Temple, they have scored 24 unanswered points, and they have dominated Penn State since the end of the first quarter. And they start this drive on Penn State's side of the 50. Jahad Thomas brought down behind the line, but 7 Temple sacks of Christian Hackenberg. That's been the story, Brock.
And every one of them built a little differently. This was number 7 on second down. You tell me where Christian Hackenberg has an outlet to throw the football. We have been clamoring for them to take a shot, but as you can see, you tell me, you've got a safety coming over the seam. Look at this. Look at the spacing. There is no spacing in the route concept. There is no place for Hackenberg to go. And that 4-man rush, 3-man rush has collapsed the pocket around him. Number 14 will take all the heat in central Pennsylvania. That's what comes with the position and the attention. But the reality today is it's been a total team offensive effort. Protection, route timing, play calling, not pretty.
P.J. Walker wide open down the sideline. Ramon DeLoach, there's no one near him. And just like that, Temple, they're back knocking on the door of the red zone.
And you've got Penn State just guessing defensively. You know, I said to you earlier, it felt like maybe a time for them within the scheme to do a little more, but you can't get so far outside the scheme, and you could see the frustration mountain. That's the big fella in the middle there, Austin Johnson, the redshirt junior. And shouldn't be surprised. This is a team with huge expectations coming in. This was a team that felt really good about their size and their strength and their speed. But been outdueled today.
Now, Temple was a little late getting out of the huddle trying to get set up. And rather than rush this first down play,
Temple,
Matt Rule
they're first.
Jumped down the sideline and called timeout from the Owls side of the field. This is shocking. I mean, this isn't wholly surprising as we were preparing for the game that Temple would be in it. But to dominate the way that they have, it's amazing. A 2-touchdown lead for Temple in field position with 7:55 to go in the fourth quarter of a game that at one point Penn State led 10-0 in the first quarter. How lopsided has it been? Well, right now the security group here at Lincoln Financial Field, they're bringing out the protective fences. They're already preparing for a possible field storming from the student section. I don't know if those fences are going to keep the kids in their seats. P.J. Walker on a keeper. No. Gary Wooten. One-on-one makes the tackle for a 2, maybe a 3-yard loss.
Ball security, game and clock management. P.J. got banged up on the shoulder. Good to see that he feels like he can still pull the ball and run it. Matt Rule knows right now this is his game to win. In complete control, and have so thoroughly beat up Penn State and dominated their offense. As you see another Nittany Lion, that one being Brandon Bell banged up. Wortman White is already out of this game. A number of Nittany Lions have been beat up this afternoon.
Right up the middle to about the 20-yard line goes Jahad Thomas. And if you're Temple here, you play for a field goal as we check in with that now.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Just an update for you what's happening with regards to Bowling Green in Tennessee. This is Josh Dobbs here to Ethan Wolf. Wolf has 3 catches and 2 of those for touchdowns. So Bowling Green is driving, but Tennessee's up by 15 early third. Bob?
All right, Adnan, as we were saying, to me, Brock, a field goal here is every bit as good as a touchdown.
Yeah, this becomes your best friend right here. You keep that thing running, You have a quarterback that's been there, incredibly experienced. In his 3rd year as a starter, he's got to manage this thing on out.
And a field goal makes it a 3-possession game. And they are very content to run it right up the gut at the Penn State defense and almost pick up a first down. Depends on where they mark Jihad Thomas down. The nose of the football is right on our first down line. This will most likely require a measurement. Now they're going to just say that it's 4th down, and why not? Just bring out the field goal unit. And that's exactly what Matt Rule will do.
Yeah, this is pretty confusing to not get a measurement as close as this one appears.
Play clock at 4. He might not be set. Matt Rule's going to spend another timeout. Not that this wouldn't be a sweet experience for Matt Rule in and of itself to beat Penn State, but how much sweeter does it make it that he played his college football as a native of State College for Joe Paterno back in the 90s.
Immensely, and he knows what the program is all about. He has great respect. They recruit maybe not necessarily the same kid, but they recruit in the same circles. And to do this today would make quite a statement to both the recruits out there, to the rest of the country, that they belong. I mean, they quietly felt really good about themselves. It was interesting listening to both staffs and meeting with both staffs. And you could see some of that belief that Penn State athletically felt they were much better. Temple felt like schematically and with their personnel and experience, this was going to be a game. And it's been more than that.
Oh, since the end of the first quarter, it's been a domination by the Owls. And this to make it a 3-score game. Perfect. Austin Jones is 2 for 2. It's a 17-point Temple lead over Penn State with under 6 minutes to go. A shocker here in Philadelphia. Sunday Night Baseball features a battle for a division title that's still up for grabs if the Pirates can chip away at that St. Louis lead. Andrew McCutchen and Pittsburgh taking on the Cards and Stephen Biscotti. Baseball tonight gets started at 7. Pirates Cardinals Sunday at 8 on ESPN, and watch ESPN September Rules on ESPN.
Hey, can I give a little tip of the cap to Jessica Mendoza? Well, what an incredible achievement, accomplishment for her, working in that Sunday Night Baseball booth, doing a phenomenal job. I had the pleasure to work with Jessica a few years, and just a terrific person and doing a fantastic job in the booth.
And well said. I worked with her when she first started at ESPN. Koa Farmer, he has been back here returning kicks far too often since the end of the first quarter. To the 21-yard line. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, the fire that we've seen here tonight from Temple really started at the end of last season, after their final regular season game. After that victory, they thought they had made it to a bowl. Well, the next day, Coach Rule had to bring his guys into a meeting, had to tell them all that they were not in because of a tiebreaker. I talked to Matt Ioannidis about that. He said he looked around the room. There was a lot of emotions, especially looking at the seniors who had fought so hard and never made it to a bowl. Well, Ioannidis is a senior this year, and he told me it's not going to happen again. Their motto all season or all offseason has been leave no doubt, and you've seen that here tonight. Absolutely.
Well, with the scoreboard the way it is right now, leave no doubt will certainly describe how Temple has performed in these last 3 quarters. This result is shocking enough, but if you watch the first quarter, it's an absolute stunner. And now Christian Hackenberg just hoisting one down the sideline, and there's Chris Godwin making a play. Well, it took forever for Penn State to throw the ball down the field, and Godwin hauls it in across the 50.
How difficult was that? You got a one-on-one, put some air on the ball, let your guy go up and make a play. You saw him go 34 for 50 for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns in a pinstripe bowl, doing and making plays just like that.
And now a false start. Yeah, this is not the same offense and not the same quarterback that wrapped up last season throwing 4 touchdowns against BC.
Offense.
And I apologize for the exasperation on my face as I was looking at you with the ball in the air, but where has that been? That's a gift this kid has. I mean, he can make every single throw. All the scouts were here, head coaches were here, GMs of NFL teams on the sideline pregame. They were all here. And that's just the second attempt over 15 yards downfield.
It's 2nd down and 15.
And then you shoot yourself in the foot with a false start. Too many pre-snap penalties. Now, Matt Rule said, I know my team is going to be ready if we avoid all these pre-snap jitters. And they have. They have completely, for 3 quarters, eliminated their own mental mistakes. And unfortunately, Penn State takes a step forward. And then a mental error of their own pre-snap before even the activity begins, 2 steps back.
Sack, 8th of the day, and only a 4-man rush. They simply can't protect Christian Hackenberg as Matt Ioannidis brings him down. 3rd down and 22. You know, for what it's worth, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, they're already looking at next year's draft. Mel Kiper had Christian Hackenberg, I believe, number 8 on his big board, and all the way down to, say, Todd McShay, as Penn State will call a timeout here. Todd McShay, I believe, had him 20th. They both had Hackenberg as the 2nd quarterback behind Jared Goff of Cal. But both, if you read their little descriptions of why they've got Christian Hackenberg where they have him, exactly what you've been saying. No player in college football has more to prove and more to accomplish this year than the Penn State quarterback. Now, having said all that and watching this performance and how they failed to protect him, if you're a Penn State fan, you must be now dreading the coming season because it looks like they've solved nothing from last year.
And they will see some better defensive units. I mean, Temple is really good. Maybe even a top 15 defense in college football with all of their experience. But all 8 of these sacks are written just a little bit differently. But they all say the same thing to me, Bob, and that is at no point in this game did you control or dictate. And you play right into the hands of this group. You're just allowing them to blitz over and over and over again and to hit and harass and put you on the ground. Then a total, complete offensive meltdown.
Fourth down and 22.
And he has to get rid of that ball a second before his receiver's ready, because once again, these defensive linemen for Temple, and give them all the credit in the world, they're getting on edges. Some of it has been schematic with some of these different blitzes, but with a 3-man rush, a 4-man rush, this offensive line that was supposed to have 4 starters back, such encouragement to have guys that have been there and done it. And you welcome in 73, Paris Palmer, one of the best JUCO tackles. Not close tonight.
It's a 3-man rush that flushes Christian Hackenberg out of the pocket again. Errant on the throw, a turnover on downs. And now the party will really start to rock in that Temple student section. 4.5 minutes to go with the football and a 3-possession lead. And about to end a drought that goes all the way back to 1941, the last time that Temple beat the Nittany Lions. And where does this offense, Brock, and where does that quarterback go from here? How do you shake off a performance like this, looking at the Big Ten schedule? That's still 3 weeks away.
Well, you have to. The good news for them is their next 5 are all at home. They don't have to leave the state of Pennsylvania. They'll be in their own building. You're going to welcome in Buffalo. You got Rutgers, San Diego State, Army, Indiana, teams that don't and won't throw a defense like Temple has at you. But you better start instilling some belief and confidence. You better start getting the ball out of your hands. You better get your playmakers involved. The fact that Deshaun Hamilton has a catch for 5 yards tonight, inexplainable.
Now some pride being shown by Austin Johnson. He's certainly maybe the best NFL prospect on either side of the ball in the end that Penn State has. He could be a force, and he makes a 5-yard loss occur there as Penn State will spend their second timeout. 1941, the last time Temple beat Penn State, and the last home win over a Power 5 conference team. It's almost as long a drought. 1942 Matt Rule, this is one of those benchmark wins for a program. This might be the benchmark win for this program.
Well, and then you turn it around and look at them, and they'll go to Cincy next week, and that's a good Cincinnati team with lots of offensive firepower, and Gunnar Kiel and his crew will attack. They won't play in a box. They won't be shell-shocked, and he knows what a great challenge that'll be. But UMass, Charlotte, Tulane, Central Florida loses last night, and then you get to East Carolina, and can you imagine? Is it unrealistic with this defensive group and the way they've run it and the way their quarterback has played today to think they couldn't be undefeated when Notre Dame rolls into this building?
Last timeout called by James Franklin. And the playoff push begins with Saturday Night Football. Later on tonight, number 20 Wisconsin taking on number 3 Alabama. 8 Eastern on ABC. You can stream it live at home or on the go on Watch ESPN as well. Who's the quarterback for Alabama? Is there firepower enough with that offensive line and Melvin Gordon? Moving on for Wisconsin to stay in there with the Tide? A lot of questions will be answered tonight. Lots of questions, but those that have been around football long enough. And Matt Rule, the former linebacker at Penn State, Nick Saban, obviously his decades in championships. And up in my hometown, Pete Carroll will tell you, you run the ball and you play great defense, you win. And you won a lot of games. Penn State could not get any run game going whatsoever. They couldn't threaten the defense. They couldn't hit Temple back. And Temple quietly has run the ball very effectively and played brilliant defense. After the final Penn State timeout, 3rd down and 14 for Temple. And they'll play it safe. And getting to the edge is Jahad Thomas. All the way down to the 15-yard line. Hard to believe. 28 more yards for Jahad Thomas. When you know the run is coming.
To put in perspective, Jahad Thomas, 384 yards a season ago. Leading rusher with 384 yards on an entire season. Teammates love him. Voted him one of the 9 toughest players on this team.
That's why he wears a single digit.
Felt like he would be a really good fit as they've gotten away from some of their spread, tempo, no huddle. Gotten back to some of the basics of football. Putting your hand in the ground, beating up the guy next to you. Career game for Thomas.
They'll lose a couple here. But that will take us down inside of 3.5 minutes to go. And you can see how worn down mentally as well the Penn State defense is, because it's got to be hard to get stops as they did and keep this game close for a long time and keep on going back over to the sideline and watching your offense sputter and hand the ball back to Temple.
It was 3 and out. It was 3 and out. It was 10-0. It was a pressure, and it was Deshaun Hamilton for a touchdown in a game that could have been 17-0 in the second quarter. And how differently would it have been for Matt Rule to dig out of that hole? Instead, they miss. They don't take another shot. They allow Temple to come back right into this game. 8 sacks later have completely turned every bit of momentum.
Raquel Armstead for 2 yards. Penn State has punted 9 times today. And as good as this Temple defense is, when you've got a guy that everyone, it seems, might vary on where they would put him in the first round, but most seem to think that Christian Hackenberg's a first-round draft choice at quarterback. You're not thinking against an American Conference team that you're going to have a coach looking that frustrated.
And this is going to ramp up the airwaves in Pennsylvania and College Station. This is going to ramp up a lot of the talk shows, because Christian Hackenberg didn't have days like this with Bill O'Brien. When he threw for 2,900 yards and ran the show in the pro-style system, this is going to start to get the conversation going of what's going on and what's wrong with this system. And why isn't it getting the best out of Christian Hackenberg?
Matt Rule will call a Temple timeout, their last timeout, with 2:13 to go.
And I will tell you along those lines, and my answer to some of that commentary, which you know is coming over the next few days for a passionate fan base, is A, it doesn't happen overnight. B, offensive line matters. And C, James Franklin is going to have a real difficult look with his staff this week, a real honest observation of how do we utilize the skill set and talent best? Because playing in a box and in a shell and not allowing this kid to chuck it down the field, not good enough. And if that means setting up deeper play action pass and moving him at times, if that means mixing in more tempo, if that means max protecting for two-man round, whatever that may mean schematically, you have to play to his talent and skill set.
Now, you backed up Peyton Manning for a good portion of your NFL career, and you watched, I think, many times where max protect seemed to be a theory that you lived by in Indianapolis. And the idea was when he was a Colt and in his prime, you didn't get to Peyton Manning and you didn't touch him, even if it meant it was two-man routes. Why was that effective? And is that something Penn State can do with Christian Hackenberg?
Yes, but you have to mix and match. I will never forget the offensive coordinator sitting in our install meeting along those lines, Bob, and saying, you know what, I've got lots of plays for you. Plenty of them. Been coaching for decades, but I might as well draw them up on toilet paper if we can't protect, because they don't mean a lick. And until this crew figures out some protection and cohesion with quarterback, with play calling, with being able to at least give him an opportunity to hitch at times, you're going to see days like this and nights like this. But 8 sacks for Matt Rule, phenomenal.
And it looks like Temple is going to go for it on 4th down and 11. Why not? They could take the game clock all the way down inside of 90 seconds to play. So even if they fail to convert, they'll hand the ball back to Penn State with a 3-score lead. And they're just going to let the game clock wind all the way down, maybe take a delay of game penalty.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Matt Rule in his 3rd season, 8-16 as the head coach at Temple, but 6-6 last year. And as Shannon talked about, one of the really under-publicized, demoralizing stories in college football, when you win at the end of the season to get to 6-6, you're bowl eligible, and there's no bowl for you to go to. And so this Temple's team stayed home.
And that's
they did not have a bowl to play in.
And there's 80 teams. There's a lot of bowl games. And a lot of disappointed seniors in a senior-laden team and veteran team does not want that to happen this year. And there is no reason that this team, as they are currently built, should not win 8 or 9 games.
Another delay penalty.
Game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
This is no fluke with what they've done on defense today. 4th best scoring defense in every metric a season ago. Struggled at times against the run. Did not today. Been great against the pass. This will be a defense going to be talked about during the college football season, especially if they get through Gunner Keel in Cincinnati next week.
Jahad Thomas on 4th down. Almost got to the edge again. But with 1:16 to go, Temple will give the ball back to Penn State on downs. A Penn State team that ended last season on a high. They won an overtime Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium against BC in what really pure and simply was Christian Hackenberg's best game of the year.
Yep.
I mean, if you spent the whole winter and the whole spring and summer waiting for college football in State College as a Penn State fan, you're thinking that's going to be the type of performance you build off of. And now it seems like you progressed to all the problems you had last year all over again as Godwin makes a catch out to the 25-yard line.
And I think what you're talking about is validation. And that little conversation between Matt Rule and quarterback is, we're good. Hey, we're good. We spent the last month kind of quietly, totally under the radar. Most people probably picking Penn State today. We know we are a good team when it's all put together and you play the defense they're capable of. And here's sack number 9.
Wow.
As the embarrassment just continues.
Matt Ioannidis gets another.
And on the flip side is invalidation. We've got 4 starters back on an offensive line. Right, we can build off that pinstripe game in the last month is going to force you into a difficult bus ride home of evaluation.
Pardon me, that was Matakevich on the sack. 9 sacks for the Temple defense.
And 10.
Make it 10. Nate D. Smith brings Hackenberg down all the way back inside the 10-yard line.
Ever seen something like this? 10 sacks? I've never called a game in 10 years of this.
Do you even run another play? Why expose your quarterback to getting hit again? The game's over. Just shake hands. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. 10 Temple sacks highlight a 27-point unanswered run, and the Owls have done it. They have beat Penn State for the first time since 1941. As Shannon Spake said, leave no doubt was the war cry this week for Temple, and they have accomplished that and then some. As James Franklin now has to regroup as his team goes down. Let's send it now to College Football Scoreboard, followed by Arizona State and Texas A&M. So long from Philadelphia.
All right, Bob, Brock, thank you very much. Shannon as well. Coming up next, it's Kyle Allen and Texas A&M. You see his numbers from a season ago, taking on Arizona State, as that game is coming up just about minutes from